Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have returning guest, Lester Velez. He is the chairman of A.E.R.C, the Abduction Experiencer Research Committee. He's also a team leader of A.R.T, Abduction Response Team, and the founder of OPUS, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. He's also the author of The Unknown Other, the existential proposition of alien contact. So yes, we're talking about alien contact, alien contactees, experiencers, abductees, the whole experience, because there's a ton of people experiencing it. You know, all the UFO disclosure out there, it's always been videos of things flying in the sky, but we miss the huge aspect the mainstream media does, not us here, of the people that are experiencing them personally in their lives and happening to them. I know many of you in my chat room or listening to the show have had these experiences, and it's not something to joke about or laugh at. I know we have our fun and stuff like that here, but many people I can't imagine are going through this, have no one to talk to, and believe they're alone. I'm hoping that's the disclosure we come together and open up tonight, and Les is definitely somebody at the forefront of that. Can't wait to have him back on the show. Of course, lots of weird to get to since we were off for Labor Day weekend. Had a great time camping with the kids, but I got a lot of weird to get to in the World Wide Web of Weird, so let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Lester Velez, author of The Unknown or Other, the existential proposition of alien contact, will be joining us after the commercial break, after World Wide Web of Weird. Joining me, as always, though, is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing great, thank you.
Glad to have you here. I don't know if you remember Les when we had him on before, but it's a very interesting topic on the of alien abduction and experiencers and contactees too. So I can't wait to have him on. Joining me also from St. Augustine, Florida. Let's hopefully we got sound here. You there with us, Rob Autry?
Am I here?
You are here. You are here well with us. Let me remove this from mine. Stop screen. And I'm going to get yours up here in a second. So yes, we were gone for Labor Day weekend. I apologize, but I got to do my first camping trip with my sons and wife. Well, not my first time with my wife. Me and her, we used to go camping when we were younger. I went camping with my kids and had a great time. My lower back did not, but I still had a great time. And then tonight, if I'm a little off my game, I apologize. I got very little sleep last night. I am recovering from a stomach bug. It's really kicked me in the butt today. Literally. Literally. No, I won't get TMI on this. But I'm struggling here, but it's such a great guest. I didn't want to give, and we didn't do a show last week, so I want to make sure we're here. And a lot of weird to get to. Too much. I try to keep the 7 articles, but man, there's so much, so there's extra stuff that I didn't get to do tonight. But if we have time, maybe we'll get into it later if Les takes off early or not. And I have to be up extra early tomorrow too, so I don't know. If Les does a shorter show, we might do too. But we have a lot of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I almost thought about keeping this one out because we've just been updating and updating, but they keep updating. There's more and more on it. On the astronauts, the poor 2 brave souls stuck up in space, for those who believe they're there. I know there's some out there like, hey, fake all of it. It's all put in a Hollywood studio. I believe these people are really stuck up there thanks to Boeing. And we talked last week about Tesla now being recruited for SpaceX, whatever, to get them out. Well, guess what? It's Tesla and Space Force. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup Radio Network, on the Paranormal Radio app, Well, I messed that up. See, I'm off practice. But we are a live webcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch if you want to come watch. Otherwise, you can listen and I'll narrate. And probably not very great tonight, but I'll do the best. I will do the best. I'm just really tired. All right. Let's get to this one. From military.com. Astronaut stuck on space station will be brought back home by Space Force Guardian. It's like, America. Yeah, right? Space Force will officers will command a mission later this month to safely bring home 2 astronauts who've been unexpectedly stuck aboard the International Space Station, making the first time a Guardian will launch into space for such a high-profile operation. Colonel Nick Hogg, an active-duty Space Force Guardian, will be joined by Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Grubanoff aboard the SpaceX Dragon. SpaceX, they got to make sure they get their government cheese in there on that. But SpaceX, but we're spending, Space Force Guardians. You know what's so weird about the whole when they chose the Guardian name?
Job description.
Well, when they chose the Guardian name, when I used to have like sci-fi stories I wrote, I always had this like universe I tried to write about kind of not, I didn't call it Space Force, but the people that were like the astronaut police or people in space, the military in space were the Guardians or the Guard, and then they named them the Guardians. Whatever, get them home. I don't care. Space Force. I don't care if you're getting somebody else to go up there and get. I don't care who. Just get these people home. And make Boeing pay the mileage on that, right? All right, let's move on. All right, I just saw this one pop up today. I had to edit something out because I wanted to get this one in. This is a weird one. There's 2 photos. This is the article here from Daily Mail. Frightening 20-foot tall figure seen climbing the side of Colorado Mountain. 2 hikers were left stunned after encountering a frightening 20-foot tall figure clinging to the side of a Colorado mountain. Jesse Clausen, 29, and Camille Avarella, 28, were descending Long's Peak in the Rockies when they unwittingly caught the lanky gray creature on a camera as it appeared to scale the crag. Is that what you call that thing? The Denver-based duo didn't see the beast at the time of their trek on August 24, but noticed it's lurking in the backdrop of a photograph as they reminisced about the ventures weeks later. I was shocked to the bone when we were looking at the picture. Behavior analysis Clausen told Daily Mail. So she's a behavior analysis? Okay. Let's see. What else? Recalling the hike, she added, we didn't see anything. We didn't take the picture because we saw that thing. We just took it because the mountain range was pretty. Clausen said they set off on an intrepid walk at 2 a.m. in order to conquer the 14,000-foot crag by the dusk the next day. They'd been walking for 7 hours when they snapped the figure just after scaling the peak around 9 a.m., she said. We were in full adrenaline mode, so we weren't really paying attention, Clausen told Daily Mail. Graphic designer Avarella explained that it was while they were sharing the photograph with family on a plasma screen TV that they first noticed the creature. They zoomed in after noticing an odd white correlation on the side of the crag. Camilla's dad said, what the hell? That thing is at least 20 foot or so. And Camilla was like, should we call the Rangers? I mean, should they? It could be a rock overlaid. I don't think that's a rock. All right, the next photo is a close-up, the whole photo, if you got photo B. We can take a better look at this, and I don't know if you can zoom in on it.
I'm trying to think if it is like Perdilia, whatever.
Right.
What
could this be? Okay, so what I'm looking at here,
like moss
it looks like a
over.
figure, or snow, right?
Yes.
Like on the top, because there's snow on these ridges. I'm looking at their other photos. If you go to dailymail.com, you can see there's snow on all these peaks and
there
stuff.
is snow.
So is that like a little peak in the rock, and the snow is just kind of melted down?
And there's like maybe a bush or something hanging over it, so the snow's
Right.
like sticking to it better.
And the reason I would side with more of that as an explanation is you heard him say, our adrenaline was peaked. That when your adrenaline is peaked, you just did this thing. You're also kind of in a mode of noticing things, I think, more than anything.
And
that there was something that was this big crawling on the side. And they are maybe somewhat far back from in the original photo. You can see they're somewhat far back from it, maybe. But maybe they didn't see anything because it was only in the photo. It looks like this, with the angle and everything, because it's just an optical illusion. That if it was a 20-foot creature, I would think they might notice that scaling the mountain, but maybe not. I think the most logical explanation, because is that this is really just the way the snow is melted over the top and all that. But we'll be seeing this pop up for a couple of years. People talking, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, it's interesting, but I honestly think that's what it is. When I saw it pop up, I was like, ooh, what is this? But as I looked at it, my idea is that it's snow that's melted on a just a piece of rock that's out there, and it just appears to look like a figure, kind of. If this was video and we had it crawling, I'd be like, well, that'd be a whole other deal.
If it was video, yeah.
Or they had seen it, you know, their own witness testimony, I would take as a very big consideration if they were saying they saw it. You know, I think it's her dad seeing it on the big screen TV or whatever. It's like, oh wow, what is that? You know, but I think that's the most logical explanation. All right, this one also I had to add in the World Wide Web of Weird because this came up in the last day or so. Next article. Police across the U.S. give a new UFO handbook as they are warned that craft pose significant safety risk. Police chiefs of America's largest cities have published their first guide about UAPs, which details chilling encounters of how officers can report such incidents. The 11-page document warned that unidentified flying objects pose significant safety risks to law enforcement air support units. So it's really about the helicopters, because there's a classic one. I can't remember where, how, when it was, or who it was, but it's been on several shows about the police that were in the helicopter that chased this like green fireball in the sky or something like that, and then it shot something at their helicopter. They were scared in that helicopter. I'd like where do I, Jason, not want to see UFOs? In a plane, or if I was taking a helicopter ride? I definitely don't want to see it there. You know, I want to be safe on the ground. I know you're probably not safe on the ground either in that case, but at least I have a feeling I can run and hide somewhere. You're in the air, you're screwed. It's outmaneuver you every second. The report also highlights stories from officers who claim to confront UFOs, specifically one in 2023 where law enforcement saw a triangle craft with green lights gliding through the sky before a local resident said something ran nearby. The police executives created the reference because it is in the interest of law enforcement to be aware of trends and reportings on UAPs due to the unknown threat they may pose. They also show like the Las Vegas incident in here. Remember, we've talked quite a bit about that, and they had the aliens in the backyard, and that started out being popular and viral because the police had responded and showed up there, and their body cam footage was really what went first viral on that story. And the way those cops reacted wasn't probably very professional either. When they're just going up to people driving by cars, did you see the light? You know, yeah, they probably got reamed pretty good on that one. The organization called Major City Chiefs Association, or MCCA, includes nearly 80 executives from major U.S. cities who work together to advance public safety through a range of initiatives, including community outreach, research, and policy development, and now UFO investigations. The guide released in June also includes details from America's investigations into UFO encounters, as well as testimony from whistleblowers such as former United States Air Force officer David Gersh. So one article showed the U.S. Congress's UAP hearing, so they get into all the UFO disclosure stuff in that. So this is like a committee that gives out reports and does studies and gives it out to these police chiefs. So this is their way of saying, hey, you should probably think about possibility of encountering one of these things, maybe if you're up in the air especially. But man, there's countless stories of law enforcement and UFOs and encounters besides that one in the helicopter in the air on the ground. I mean, there's... there's so many. There's so many, and I'm not thinking of any of the names. I can picture the people and the stories in my mind, but I can't think of the names and the exact dates of them. But there's classic ones going to, the 1950s and 60s, or cops' cars damaged. It's ruined cops' careers. I think police officers need a lot more training and guidance on a lot of different areas. The UFOs, sure. Or are they doing this because we're doomed UFO alien invasion? I don't think so. I don't know. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to some UFO stuff. Where am I at? Yeah, all right, Article 4. There we go. All right, I got the article from Tim Binnell from Coast to Coast here. Pilots film puzzling UFO over Atlantic Ocean. I think this is like third World Wide Web weird in a row now that we've had a pilot UFO thing. A commercial pilot was left scratching his head at the sight of two peculiar UFOs that appeared outside his airliner during a recent flight over the Atlantic Ocean. The unnamed witness who shared footage of the curious anomalies on Reddit had last week explained that the sighting occurred on August 19th, shortly after departing Puerto Rico. The pilot recalled how he and his captain spotted these orb lights that kept moving around each other, and at one point we saw them move at incredible speeds and stop and hover instantaneously. Go ahead and play the videos. So, you can see it's pretty far back there, but he zooms in. I'm sure he's filming on his phone in the cockpit here. And these do some weird things. I do a filter on it, too, so you can kind of see it, because I don't know if you can see it here. They have this on Coast to Coast, but at one point it almost seems like one of the little lights that are flying around each other here shoots out something. It might be pretty hard to see on our thing. Like I said, on Coast to Coast they have this. But I do a zoom in and I do a filter, I think, on this video. I think I did. This is at 35,000 feet. Whatever would be up there would be pretty big, I would think. I don't think it could be flares or anything like this. Here's my zoom in of it. Here's before I put the filter on, but I don't know if you can see it. See that right there? Did you see that? It was like something shot out from it. Now I put a filter on it all right, here's the filter, so you can just see the lights, what's going on here. And watch. There's like something flying out there, but I don't know if you saw it. Like something a little really faint there shoots out from it. Only thing I would say, because of that, something shooting out or whatever, could this be a military fighter craft shooting out a flare? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, something did come out of it, and
But you would think
a lot of times ride together like that.
Being up in an airline or a pilot, they're calling this in. He would have they would have identified that in a sense, known that's what that is out there. The fact that these are pilots, commercial, I believe, maybe they're private pilots. It doesn't say. Maybe the reason they're reporting this is because they didn't get any confirmation this was a fighter jet up there or something like that. So. I would think they would know. They'd want to know. I mean, otherwise that would be the possibility I'd see, but I would think they would know. I would think they'd be able to confirm that, or they wouldn't, be anonymously posting this if they had found out that it was a fighter jet. They would try to find out from air traffic control, like, hey, we got something up here. They would call it in, I'm pretty sure. Maybe they didn't, but I would think they would. I mean, it's protocol. They got to call it in.
It almost looks like, is it shooting, or is there actually three?
Or there are three, I don't know. It looks like something
I
shoots
think
out
there's
of it, though.
three. Like one that looks like shooting out, but in this part right now, it looked like one kept turning on.
You do
and
see
off.
three dots right there. One really faint in the middle, and then the two. But it's like something shoots out from there. Like you see, it's kind of like tail, like because it's going faster, like
but
it's
it
a streak.
stays there.
Mm-hmm.
Like let it go.
But a flare would do that. The flare will stay there for a minute, and then burn out. And the bright one there would be the jet. They could both the other dots could be flares being shot out from the jet. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's what that is. I am not an expert of any way at all. But just seeing the way things have been debunked and seeing jets and flares doing the show
right
9 years.
I don't think are flares of being shot out.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that would be a probable possibility. The only thing I see wrong with that, this is the pilots. They would find a way to identify that up there, I would think, if it would be anywhere near their airspace.
Usually
I'm not an expert. I don't know.
There's some sort of you see some sort of emotion or.
We're gonna run out of time. We better move on. But yeah, that was at Coast to Coast. All right, so that was Article 4, and that was over the Atlantic Ocean. We are on Article 5. Okay, this is a weird one, too. This isn't UFO, but is it alien or is it ghost? Security camera captures orb transforming into a pair of people. Another one from Tim Biddle from Coast to Coast. Mysterious video out of Mexico shows an orb floating across the field before transforming into a pair of people, looks like children to me, who subsequently vanish into the thin air. The strange footage was posted online earlier this week, was reportedly captured by a security camera in the early morning hours of August 22nd at an unspecified location in Mexico. In the video seen above, the puzzling scene plays out on a monitor as bewildered man details the weirdness that began when an orb appeared in the sky. So the orb appeared in the sky. That's why I guess it's UFO. Is this, because this is, people might say it's ghost, but this guy said it appeared in the sky and then came down and did this. So this is a weird one. As if it were not odd enough, the duo then dematerialized, leaving behind an empty field with no sign of their presence seconds earlier. Since being posted to social media, the video has amassed millions of views. Go ahead and play it because we're going to run out of time. I mean, it looks like we're seeing it right off the CCTV footage, which means not chance, to be manipulated. Doesn't mean it isn't. So there's that little figure that appears after the light comes. I'll have a playback of it here. To me, it looks like a child. Or the guy from what's that show where he's like the plane.
Tattoo,
yeah. Go back to the light floating down, to the very beginning, the light floating down. I don't know if you can see it or not. Huh. Maybe go forward then in the video. Keep going forward. Because this is like, I don't know, I thought I had it where the light comes down. You see the light and then it turns into these kids. Or this one kid. It's weird. I don't know. I mean, this could be just shenanigans online, And then they just disappear there. But the light is interesting. How you said the light came down from the sky. Should replay it here in a second. See, there's the light. See it? Right there. And it's almost like a beam of light. And then it floats. See there? It's floating. See it? Yeah, this is the better part of it, the video. And watch how it just materializes into almost two children. You see the two heads there? And then they disappear. And then materializes as one child. It looked like children to me. I can't tell heights or not, but that's what it looks like. That's an interesting one. We got to move over. Move on before we run out of time, though. Then we got Christmas lights in the sky or something. I don't know. It's not as spectacular as that, but like I said, is that last one UFO or paranormal ghost, or is it all one big thing like Paranormal Soup? This next one. Witnesses filmed a string of multicolored lights in skies over Columbia City. Earlier this week, several witnesses spotted a strange string of multicolored lights that mysteriously appeared in the night sky over Columbian City and Bogota. The intriguing mass sighting.
SpaceX?
I don't know. You'll see it. Tell me it does not look like anything I've seen for SpaceX before. The intriguing mass sighting, which reportedly occurred on Monday evening, was filmed by multiple individuals who promptly posted their footage onto social media, causing something of a stir online in the country. The bewildering sighting of multicolored lights hung in the night sky for several seconds as people watched the weird sight, wondering what they were seeing. Strangely, one video from the incident suggests that the curious illuminated cluster simply shut off and suddenly vanished. As what the peculiar set of colored lights could have been, some have argued that the aerial anomaly was an alien visitation as some kind of clandestine project, akin to long-discussed Project Bluebeam, blah, blah, blah. More skeptical-minded observers posted that positive the UFOs could have been drones or possibly Starlink satellites, right? That said, the later theory is doubtful as well, as while often mistake for something otherworldly, the SpaceX craft are white rather than multicolored. So go ahead and watch. This is multicolored. This is not like SpaceX I've seen. And it'll be a zoom in of it too. I am not a huge Christmas person, a little bah humbug. The only thing I love about Christmas is the multicolored lights. I love multicolored lights. I like the ambient light of Christmas lights. I like this UFO. This would be my kind of UFO, the rainbow UFO.
I keep telling
Let's party! I don't know. It's the aliens showing their pride, man.
They make me
It's pretty,
happy.
though.
It is very pretty.
But,
It's
you know,
like
I mean, is that like the
some
back end of a ship? Is it a saucer? Is it a string of lights? Is this drones? I don't know. But multiple
Is an
witnesses, multiple
airplane,
videos.
like, dragging
I
it
don't think so.
behind like a banner?
Like lights like that? I don't think so.
Because I don't think
I don't
that's
think that-
drones grouped up.
No.
For
Like I said,
just
I
to
feel
do that.
like we got more and more sightings. That's what I feel like. I don't know. It's just a feeling as I do these stories and more stuff's happening. Let's get to the last one because we only got like a minute left. I have no time to read this very lengthy article. Even the shorter version on Unexplained Mysteries, I don't have time to read. But the main headline of this article from The Conversation, they always have ones that, they call us Conversation. I'm always like pissed at them usually for their articles. Nothing against them. They're intriguing questions. Belief in alien visitors to Earth is spiraling out of control. Here's why that's so dangerous. Can you guess why they think that's so dangerous? This whole article, Tony Milligan, I think is the one that wrote this. His whole stipulation in this article is that the belief in aliens and the conspiracy that our governments have shut it down is dangerous because if I get the gist of this right, maybe I'm wrong, Tony, is because then we don't have trust in our institutions and our government. Welcome to the party, pal. Yeah, I haven't had that trust in a long time, but it's dangerous. You should trust your governments and your institutions. Dare you. Dare you. It's dangerous. You know I got a big middle finger for that one. That's the conversation, I guess. Go yourself, because you know what? We need to be dangerous. We need to be asking questions. We need not to trust our government because our government's done horrible things, along with a lot of other governments, along with a lot of other corporations and other really bad people and powerful people. And yeah, I don't have trust in a lot of our institutions or government. You know, local law enforcement, doctors, your doctor trusts them and all that, you know. But the bigger picture, what our institutions, they say, yeah, we shouldn't trust them. We should be asking lots of questions. And I have lots of history, not conspiracy theories, history to back me up on that. So that's the conversation you want to have. We can have it. We can have that conversation. UFO conspiracies, dangerous. Kidding me? What a crap conversation. I'm really disappointed in it. It's a point he's making. I get it. I'm not mad. Maybe I am. I don't know. But the whole idea that we, you know, this whole propelling of more and more people believing that UFOs are possible and our government covered it up is dangerous because we can't trust our government. Seriously, we need to be we have so many questions, not just beyond the alien thing for our government, which we should have tons, but also about all the wars and assassination attempts and all kinds of other things that have been going on for decades with our NSA, CIA, military-industrial complex, Halliburton, and all these other companies out there, the military-industrial complex, big banks. Yeah, we have a lot of reasons and a lot of questions, a lot of reasons not to have trust. So don't come crying to me because we're all starting to wake up to the fact that our government's been lying to us about UFOs all this time.
But they also just opened up the can of worms big time to get everybody all riled up, and now they are completely flooding.
Oh man, we went way past time. We got to go to commercial break. See what happens. See what happens.
Oh, they might not be aliens.
We got to go commercial break. We're already way past. We're way past our time, Jamie. That's what happens. All right, our guest tonight is Lester Velez. After this short commercial break, we are going to talk about, of course, aliens and alien abduction. He is the author of The Unknown Other, the existential proposition of alien contact. It's a threat to our institutions. We come back for the short commercial break.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close encounters of the third kind, contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. And what you will see has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It is called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. of the third kind, Certificate A, now showing at the Odeon Leicester Square.
The international chart-topping, Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe, 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Lester Velez. Lester Velez is a graduate of the University of Vermont with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. Beginning in September 1970, he served in the U.S. Army as a field artillery officer and was later vice president of the Luscombe Engineering and Silicon Valley-based manufacturing representative company. He joined MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, in 1991 and has held the following positions: field investigator, training and coordinator for field investigations, assistant state director in Northern California, chairman of the A.E.R.C. Abduction Experiencer Research Committee, and team leader of the A.R.T. Abduction Response Team. Also during that time, he became a facilitator for an abduction support group in San Jose, California, and in 1994 co-founder of OPUS, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. He's also the author of The Unknown Other and in the existential proposition of alien contact. Wow, I butchered that. We had him on before. I'm glad to have him back, especially as more and more I feel like this world is awakening to alien possibilities, UAP, UFOs, whatever they want to call them. The aliens are here, we're being visited, and people are having personal experiences. When are they going to start talking about that in the mainstream media? Oh, no, we can't. It's danger to our institutions, right? No. We talk about it here, and we will let the phone lines open up later in the show if you want to call in and talk about your own experiences with our guest, Lester Velez, tonight. So let's go ahead and get on into it. All right, let me get Les in the studio. How you doing tonight, Les?
Hey, guys. Great. How are you guys?
Doing good. It's an honor to have you back on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
It's been a while. I think it's been a couple years since we had you on.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So I mean, it seems like a lot has happened in the UFO community
Oh my
still,
God.
even since then, right?
Incredible amount of stuff going on, and I think that unfortunately, what's going on at the present time has been kind of tamped down a little bit because of the political situation that we have going on here in the country. But I think as soon as the election is over, this thing is going to bubble up big time. We're going to have some further revelations that are going on, and I think next month, I've been told we're going to have some more people that have 4 stars on their shoulders talking about these types of things. So it's going to come to a head, and it's just a matter of, you know, probably not, certainly within our lifetime, guys, which
But
is
you've seen,
incredible.
do you think you've seen in like and we're going to get into everything tonight. I mean, but I have to get into this with you because I was just curious. It's been a couple years, and like what your thoughts are on all that, on the disclosure thing and what's going on in Congress with all that. But that they really, after that last report, what was it called that they had, that they really pushed back and tried to shut this thing down.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's two forces going on right now. You have
Right.
groups that are definitely want this to come forward, and those congressional hearings that happened, I was just absolutely blown away how bipartisan it was. I mean, you had Democrats and Republicans that basically are always, fighting each other. We're in total agreement. They were in total agreement.
We're not getting into politics here, but Tim Purgett, Republican, you might hate him, and AOC, which she gets a ton of hate. But I will give both of those people credit because both of them got up there and been asking questions. And Representative Luna, I don't care what party you're in. I don't, because I hate both parties. Honestly do. As long as you're up there, representing us and the questions we have, because as an American citizen here, a tax-paying person, I want my representatives up there asking.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and recently, Lou has published a book that's come out here, and he's with his show Unidentified, and
Luis Elizondo.
Yeah, Lou Elizondo, exactly, and he talk about somebody that has the inside track on all of this stuff. He certainly does, and he's been shown to be quite credible, and I think that there's more to be said. I haven't got his book yet, but I certainly want to get it and see what else he's had to say. But he's certainly put himself in a position.
He's got critics in the UFO community, big time.
Well, and we all have critics. There's no question about it. But the bottom line is, his heart is in the right place. And I think that we're going to, get over the hump here, so to speak, and get the information out to the general public. And it could, some of the public will be really upset by this, but I think the majority of the people will say, "Oh yeah, I knew that." It's like, "Oh sure, yeah, we're not alone."
What I loved hearing in the hearings is when they brought up one point. Eventually, it was brought up about Maelstrom, shutting down the nuclear missile. I'm like, there's your national security threat right there, back in the 1960s. Come on,
big time.
Like, where's your records on that? I know you got them. Come on, there's no bigger national security threat than that. Where's all that stuff?
Right. Robert Salas, who was basically in charge of that group when those missiles went down, I had an opportunity to meet with him at the MUFON symposium in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. And I did a presentation for the Experiencer group there in the morning. And he and his wife came up to me afterwards and said, "Can we talk to you?" And I said, "Sure." And we sat down at my table, and they started to tell me about their experiences. They've both been abducted.
I am not surprised, and I'm not even surprised by that.
Yeah, and
I'll get to a growing theory after you're done on that.
Sure, and basically, they both experienced the abduction together. And when his wife came back after the abduction, she had healing capabilities. She was able to heal people. This is something that they talk about a lot. where people that do have these experiences, some come back very psychic, telepathic, others come back with healing capabilities or are healed from a disease that they may have had. And unfortunately, some come back with a disease that they got. So it's a mixed bag. It's certainly a mixed bag.
Over several different guests I've come up with this theory that have mentioned things that are government involvement and knowledge of UFOs. But on the other side of the coin, I've heard referred to alien abductees as sleeper cells for the aliens. That's how their government viewed them. Because, I mean, if you're military, I should say, your mind looks at, oh, people are being abducted. What about military people and the personnel? People who are involved in highly sensitive places. Are they abductees? Are they a threat? You don't think our government's done that kind of assessment? I do believe if you are an alien, race that's monitoring us, you have a program of taking people, putting them back, that the people you might start taking and wanted to find out more about what we're doing with our nuclear weapons are people in the military.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And, I think you've had Terry Lovelace on your show. And
that's where exactly I get a lot of that from.
And, he was in the Air Force and had this incredible experience. And matter of fact, Terry is on our advisory board for OPUS. And I know him very well. He just lives down the street from me, so to speak.
Yeah, I consider him a good friend. He's a great person.
Oh, yeah. Great guy. Great guy. But, are we dealing with extraterrestrials? Are we dealing with interdimensionals? Are we dealing with time travelers? Are we dealing with our military? Yes, I think it's all the above.
All the above. Yep.
All the above. And so, I met Lou Elizondo for the first time a couple of years ago before COVID shut everything down, because he came to interview Terry Lovelace for the show Unidentified. And we had lunch, after they did the interview with Terry.
Yeah.
And it was a fascinating conversation that basically Lou was saying that they believe they understand how these objects, the propulsion systems operate. It's a combination of the skin of the craft, what it's made of, and then a very small power source, not element 115, as our buddy Mr. Lazar talks about. But if they're already starting to figure this stuff out, they certainly haven't put that out to the general public yet. And
well, there's the patent of the electromagnetic or electrogravitic drive by was he French?
Thompson?
I think it is. Basically, government patented this guy's invention would, some sense, be very similar to that idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, the Navy has a habit of taking over these technologies very quickly as they come to fruition, and so they're keeping it close to the vest. That's for sure. And again, from a national security standpoint, you might want to agree with them in that, because you certainly don't want our enemies to understand that, yeah, we know what we have, we know how to use it, and don't screw with us, because we'll turn it around on you. So, I mean, I think that's going on. I think that's why you have two factions. You have the people that want this information to come out, and then you have the DOD and the Pentagon that definitely don't want this out there. They want to try to keep it hush hush. And so that's the battle that's going on now. And hopefully the quote unquote good guys will prevail.
Yeah, I have my serious doubts on that. You don't keep something like this a secret for so long without backup plans and contingencies to deal with these. I used to be, I'll always be an Art Bell fan, and he referenced a number of times when it came up about disclosure of the Snowball. He would say if one thing really gets out where the government admits anything, it becomes a snowball, because then you got another question, and then another question, and then another question, and then everybody's questioning, and it just becomes a big snowball rolling downhill, and more questions, because there's a lot of history here.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of history of government cover-up and conspiracy, so that snowball gets pretty big once it rolls down the hill.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that this is not an easy battle for sure. And but my gut is telling me that yes, we're going to get this out there probably within a year or two max. I
Well,
don't
you
think it's going
saw.
to go
Did you see
much
my
further.
news segment on the UAP briefing thing for police departments for police chiefs? Or have you seen
Uh,
that?
no, I have not, but I'm familiar with it. Because I was part of the UAP Med Group, which is trying to do a lot of that kind of information. It's a good group,
Right.
and trying to educate the first responders as to the phenomenon and how to deal with all this stuff. And I know obviously I know most of the people that are involved in there, and so uh, there's more groups like that are out there that are digging the ditches to try to get to where we need to be, and so there's a tremendous amount of impetus uh, going forward on all of this, and so I feel very optimistic.
What I mentioned when I on my news segment about that is like the when I talk about training law enforcement officers on this
Mhm.
is if you saw the Las Vegas incident with the aliens in the backyard
Yeah,
that went
right.
viral because the police
Yeah,
showed up, their body
right.
cam footage, and I'm not knocking the police there or anything, but they're going up to cars. Did you see the light? Like they were freaking out too,
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
Then they had no guidance in that situation.
Exactly, exactly, and this is something that the I'm sure you've heard about the fireman's manual that has a section in there about, well, if you
Yeah,
encounter a UFO, and it goes through the whole process,
because they could be
and
the first on the scene of a UFO crash.
yeah, oh, absolutely, because there might be a fire going on, and you know so it makes a lot of sense.
And it's we could think of countless encounters with UFOs that have damaged and hurt people. That there's a danger of getting close to these things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from the types of energy that it's emitting, whether it's a microwave or electromagnetic,
Or
gamma
nuclear.
ray, nuclear, exactly. I mean, it's all types of dangers to coming into contact with these things,
Yeah.
and yet these abductees, are taken through walls and through the ceiling and brought up in array, and most of them come back with not a physical issue. Yeah, sure, they've had a traumatic experience, being laid on a table and probed, and juices and semen and eggs taken and all kinds of things that just are just crazy. But it's like there's a major experiment going on, and it's a continuing thing.
Well, that's the thing. I was talking about during our news segment about, we have all this disclosure talking about UFO sightings, things in the sky, but we have millions of people out there that are personally experiencing. It's not just seeing a craft in the sky, but like you said, being taken, floated through their walls, removed from their home, brought back. Some are abductees, some are contactees, some are enjoying the experience, some are not. You
Hmm.
know, I'm saying that when the mainstream media starts recognizing that, and we start really talking about that, and these people get to start having a voice in the mainstream, now we'll talk about disclosure. To me, that's
Yeah,
the
there's
biggest disclosure that needs to happen.
exactly, and there's a big stigma that's surrounds this abduction type of a situation, but it's lessening. It's lessening, and I certainly believe that these congressional hearings have confirmed to these abductees or experiencers or contactees, whatever terminology you want to utilize, that is confirmed to them that their experience is very real, and in most cases these people see an object. But then also, when I was an investigator, the first case, I remember the first case that I got involved with, the person told me about the fact that they saw this object, and it was early in the morning, very early in the morning. And but they also told me the fact that they had contact with these non-human intelligences. And I remember the first one because I was a nuts and bolts kind of guy, way back
Yeah.
when, over 30 years ago. And so the first case, I was quite skeptical, that this occurred. But then, almost without exception, all the other cases I got involved with were the same scenario. People saw this object, and then they had missing time. They've been on a craft. They had this contact with these entities, and they were telling me stories that were just mind blowing. And I learned so much just listening to those people. But the bottom line is, I think what Lou has done now is hit the nerve of our political system by couching it in terms of, hey, these things could be a problem. All right. So it's kind of a negative approach to the topic and saying that this could be harmful. We need to better understand it. And that's the only way that Congress gets involved, is that, oh, we got a problem, we got to solve it somehow.
Yeah.
And but the abductee part of it, which is also extremely important, I think that's the next phase. That's the next phase where you have people come up like a Terry Lovelace and sits down in front of Congress and tells them, and then shows them the X-rays.
I would love to see Terry up in front of Congress.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
Wouldn't that be great?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Give me some popcorn. I'm going to sit there and watch that because people need to hear his story.
Oh,
people
absolutely.
People need to hear all these people's stories and experiences.
Oh, absolutely.
Not be treated.
And there's so many people. I mean, look at Whitley Strieber. I mean,
I was just going to mention Whitley because I mean, look, the classic, the classic example of that for him was in the, was it 90s when he did the what's his name's Larry King's talk show, and they laughed at him when he started talking about the anal probe.
Yeah, yeah,
and that was mortifying to him. It was so horrible.
Sure,
it was so mortifying to him.
Absolutely, and you got Chris Bledsoe now has had this incredible experience with a number of people, and he wrote the book UFO of God, and that's another guy that could tell a hell of a story, and in front of Congress, and there's millions of people.
See, the reason I want Terry to get up in front of Congress, I want Congress to investigate him because the military was involved in a sense.
Oh,
because
sure.
after his incident at Devil's Den, he was interrogated and drugged by our military.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm yeah.
I want answers.
Yeah, exactly. And the bottom line is that we're dealing with entities, whether they're extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or time travelers. There seems to be good evidence for each of those types of things, including our military, a la Melinda Leslie, with her Mill Lab type of experience. So there's so much evidence out there. The debunkers always thought, oh, there's no evidence. That's baloney.
There's historical evidence. We have, I mean,
all kinds of evidence.
I know. I know. I love it.
Look at implants. Look at these implants, like the late Dr. Roger Lear, taken out of people's
Well, what's
bodies.
the guy that's a private detective that's done like the CSI thing on abductions, where he's gotten the fingerprints from the aliens? They're greasy, weird prints that they leave on the walls, and the implants that he's collected. I can't think of the guy's name. He's a private investigator that's done this.
Yeah, he used to be with the San Jose Police Department.
Yeah. God, dang it. I'm so tired. I've had little sleep last night. Stomach bugs. So excuse me, my brain is definitely not working to remember names right now. But I think that kind of thing is what we need. We need a CSI. We need to bring
Polides, David Polides.
No, not David Polides. He does the missing 411.
Yeah, but he's also gotten into the abduction type stuff. He started to talk about it. Oh yeah,
really?
And he was totally against it for a long time.
I know he was. He's very fact kind of person.
Yeah, but he's really got into his last.
Well, I'd love to have him on to talk about that. No, there's another guy. It's not Pleiades. I know it isn't. So if Pleiades isn't that, I'd love to talk.
I'd like to understand.
I'd love to talk about him 100 things, but
yeah, yeah, I would love to know who you're thinking about.
I can't think of it. I can picture his face. It isn't Pleiades. It's another guy, and I'm just totally. totally spacing on it right now. But I didn't even know DVE Police got. I have him as a Facebook friend and follow him. I guess I hadn't noticed that's what I always see the missing 411 stuff, and like
Right.
he would never want like people. I'd hear him on interviews, Art Bell and other stuff, and people try to get him to say Bigfoot or aliens did this or whatever. He's like, I'm just telling you what we know.
Yeah.
What the facts are and and what the questions are. I can't tell you if it was aliens or Bigfoot that took it. And I always loved that about him, that he didn't extrapolate. But the fact that he could get involved in people's abduction cases is really cool. Like anything, law enforcement or people are looking for evidence and facts that really want to get down. Not just people. I want people's experiences. I want to hear their regression and all that, but the physical evidence that could be left behind. I don't think these aliens can be total, Dexter and perfect and leave no evidence or traces behind. You know what I'm saying? That they're leaving something behind. We're just not looking for it.
Yeah, and I think that when these people are abducted, it's like the old thing of, well, how come you didn't grab an ashtray off the craft or something and bring it back so we could have some evidence? Well, people are probably not thinking along those lines when that is happening. But I think we do have some significant evidence with regard to the implants. And we have other evidence with types of marks on the body that are occurring with no reason for them to be there or how they got there or how an injury seems to be healed instantaneously, or people that have been abducted that have had serious illnesses are cured overnight after an abduction. I was on coming back from a MUFON symposium in Richmond, Virginia. This is years and years ago, and I ended up sitting next to this woman who turned out to be at that time the head of the St. Jude Hospital, and we just started chatting, and she says, where are you going? And I told her I was going home, and what did you do? And I told her I was at this UFO symposium, and she looked at me and said, really? So tell me a little bit about it. So I did, and then she says, well, I got something to tell you, because when I was previous job before St. Jude Hospital, I was working at a hospital, and we had a woman that had cancer, and we were going to do an operation on her the next morning. And we came in to get her to bring her into the surgery theater, and she says, I don't need it. And they thought
And
she
she
was
knew.
she was like they thought she was freaking out or something.
Yeah.
And they said, what do you mean you don't need it? Well, they came last night and they took care of it. And
I get goosebumps when I hear these stories like that,
and
because
so they took her in anyway, but what they did was they took another x-ray before they proceeded, and sure enough, the tumor was gone. It was absolutely gone. And these are the kind of things that are evidence for these people in a big way. And it's happening, all over the world. I mean, there's millions and millions of people that are having experiences, and when they come back, their worldview changes significantly. And most of them come back with the thought in their mind that we need to be better stewards of the planet. We need to be better to one another. We need to be more loving. And if we all eventually come to be that in that place, we won't have any more wars. We won't need wars anymore. We'll be able to work things out and do things smarter and better. So in one sense, yeah, the aliens, you know, seem to be the good guys in a lot of cases, but then there's also experiences that people are having are pretty bad. And that really brings up the fact that how many types of entities are we dealing with? And I think
Right.
we're dealing with multiple entities, whether it's the Greys, whether it's the reptilians, whether it's the Nordics, whether it's our military. I mean, it's a plethora of types of things that are going on. So it's not just one group. And there's a lot of talk about the fact that there's all kinds of fighting going on between the good guys and the bad guys. And I think it's a very similar thing to what we have here on this planet. We have good people and we have bad people. And the same thing is going on up there.
Right.
I mean, I've heard about, reptilians generally being characterized as the bad guys, but I've heard good stories about them as well. People have had good experiences with them. So, it's a real mixed bag. And you can't just say, oh, they're all good or they're all bad. I think it's a combination of things.
Well, I've always said about the whole disclosure thing, another reason why disclosure is a complicated topic and it just can't say, okay, yeah, aliens are real, is because that Snowball thing. Okay, there's questions. What aliens? Who's the aliens?
Mm-hmm.
The explanation's so complicated, they don't know how to present it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much history.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean history, I mean ancient history, because I'm a big ancient aliens guy.
Right.
I think there's plenty of evidence to show that we've been visited for thousands and thousands of years, and these aliens are probably a big part of our whole creation.
Yeah, matter of fact, in my book, I have a section about, ancient history. We talk about the Romans and talking about the shields in the sky, and then the cave drawings in Spain and in France that literally shows a saucer and things coming out of the saucer.
Ezekiel's wheel.
Yeah,
Moses
sure.
on the mountain.
The Bible.
The
Bible. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
to me, I know that can be offensive to people. They believe it's God and all that, and I get that. I believe there's a part of God in the Bible too, but I think there's a lot of, especially Old Testament, ancient alien stuff going on there. I'm just sorry,
totally.
It's my personal belief.
No, I agree with you. I think that we have to be open to understand that this thing has been going on for eons, ever since we've been on this planet. And then we being a race of Homo sapien sapien, that where we created, where we manipulated, which is definitely a something that has probably happened, because I'm trying to think of his name now. I'm blanking on the name. Gary Nolan at Stanford University has done a lot of research, and he's claimed that, not claimed, but he's said that geologists claim that our planet is 4.5 billion years old. Okay, but and then he said that our genome mutates about every 600,000 years, which is an interesting fact in and of itself. But he says, for us to be where we are now in our evolution, this planet would have to be 9 billion years old, unless we had some outside influence that manipulated our genome.
Yep.
So, and I think, we're basically an experiment that's ongoing. People talk about the fact that, well, these aliens are so smart. I mean, they just abduct two people, they find out everything they know, and they go away. Bye-bye. It's an experiment. It's an ongoing experiment, a continuing. And they bring in their next generation to work with us. So it's like a class, and we do the same thing all the time to various types of animals. Take dolphins, for instance. We go out in the ocean. We'll
Very
pick
intelligent creature too.
Yeah, and we pick up a dolphin, and then we take a blood sample, we tag them, all right, and we measure them. We do all kinds of things to them, and we throw them back in the water. And then a year later, we throw them back in. A year later, we come and we find this guy, the same dolphin. We check his tag, we take some more blood samples, we do some more measurements, do some other types of things with them. And it's an ongoing process. And this is what exactly is happening to us.
Yeah. Actually, a big beluga whale that the Russians used as a spy just recently died. So we do all kinds of things to those poor creatures. Yeah. And like I said, we also keep some captive. maybe the aliens are doing that to some people. I don't know.
Well,
but,
yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people that all of a sudden disappear. There's a lot of
right.
disappearances, and what is the cause? I mean, this, Polides thing, and this is what he's finally come out with, is that these people are disappearing. Are they going into a portal and then they can't find their way back? He talks about portals now, and and the same thing could be happening as far as being abducted by aliens, because these people all of a sudden, you know, they find their clothing, their boots, their clothes, and everything else. Why would they do that? Then you can't find them. Nothing. There's no trace of them.
Well, there's
Some
abductees
people,
that. Oh, go ahead.
some people have even wondered up near Washington type area if maybe they've even been shanghaied and taken down to work in underground tunnels or something as labor.
But there's also people that are experiencers, abductees, who have reported things like vats of body parts, things that are cannibalistic or were food to some of these. Not all, just to some of these experiences. That's a scary thought. We're not top of the food chain.
Well,
what if that's the case?
That's a good point. We are not top of the food chain in that regard, for sure. So, and that's scary. That's very scary.
Yeah, I mean, people go missing. Who knows? There's billions of people on this planet. How many aliens are up there, different species, and what are they using us for all kinds of different things? This could be possibly, and then like interdimensional, and for me, I believe, like you said, it's all the above. I've had experience with a shadow being that some people say demonic, whatever. I look at it as an interdimensional being. It felt alien to me, and it was connected, I think, slightly to a UFO experience, abduction experience I might have had in a camping trip months before. I've had the experience I say I got goosebumps when you talk about the people who have been healed. I never thought about these things. I told Terry this when we would talk, that I wrote a lot of these things off on my mind as just dreams in my sci-fi brain. I'll admit it. I've been a sci-fi geek and a believer forever. And so I doubt any of my dreams. But I had a dream. I went to bed really sick. I was in my 20s, early 20s. I think it might have been 19 or 20. I was in my early 20s. And I remember that. And I was really sick. I was really congested. I used to smoke a ton of cigarettes. That was bad. And I had this dream, and I remember barely could breathe when I was going to sick. I felt I was going to die. And I had this dream. I say it's a dream of being I couldn't move. I'm in some kind of like room that's dark, but I can see lights in the background. And there's presences in front of me. I can't totally see them or their faces, but they're talking to me in my head, telling me, calm down, you're fine. But they're putting this thing down my throat. And they're showing me in my mind what they're doing, which is filling up my lungs with this fluid and sucking all this garbage out of my lungs and chiding me for smoking.
Yes.
When I woke up that next morning, I was like I was never sick.
Wow. That's amazing.
I wrote it off as a dream.
One hell of a
I got
dream.
better. But that's the thing. I just think it is my sci-fi brain. It wasn't until like Terry Lovelace's book "Incident at Devil's Den" it started to make me wake up to different experiences I've had. I'm not saying I'm not a abductee or I've been taken a bunch of times, but I've had some weird experiences I can't explain. Like a mark, or like a perfect circular mark on my face once when I woke up. That camping trip, I had a whole experience of a dream being floated up out of my tent. And seeing the forest below, and then when I woke up later, I was backwards in the tent, and then walked out to this cliff ledge, and me and my friend saw this big light shine through the morning canopy of fog, stuff, just weird stuff like that. I would just write off for so long, and when I told Terry is like, how many more people are like me? I mean, I'm a person that believes in this stuff, and I wrote it off.
Yeah.
Think about people that don't, how quickly they write it off.
It's like conscious dissonance that we don't want to accept it because it's so out of our normal processes, and so you try to accept it in a way that you're not going to lose sleep over. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, you probably did have an experience. Those were probably very real experiences, and to be so sick and then to wake up like with no problem at all. Something happened. Something definitely happened.
I didn't quit smoking until many, many years later.
You didn't learn your lesson.
I didn't, but my wife, it scares the hell out of her if I talk about these experiences, because she's like, that's the one thing that really, like, we were paranormal investigators. She's ghosts, spirits, demons, none of that stuff scares her. But the alien abduction, yeah.
Really?
Like, she does not like the idea of it. And, like, I woke up one night where I had just blood splatter all over my shirt, but I couldn't find this. Like, I thought maybe I had a bloody nose, but there was no blood in my nose or around my nose, because I do get bloody noses. But I had, like, all these little specks of blood all down a white shirt, nice white shirt like this one, gone.
Wow.
She's like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, don't let me guess. Don't let me say anything, because you're going to freak out on me.
Well, that's one of the characteristics of abductees is nosebleeds. That's very, very common.
I used to be so embarrassed in school. It's just something common in my family, though. Like, my grandfather has, like, really close, you have, like, really close veins in our nose. He had to have his nose, like, cauterized, I think, once. It was so bad. But, like, I just have always gotten nosebleeds as a kid. And I was just told in my family, oh, yeah, your grandfather gets nosebleeds really bad. It's just something bad with the family. Maybe that's an alien abduction thing.
Well, the thing is, these things are generational, too.
I don't.
As
I say it, I realize I know that. But I don't think my grandfather's an abductee. I don't.
Well, he may not know it. Well, and that's
right.
something that I have just recently come to believe very strongly, is that we have all had an experience. Every one of us here tonight has had an experience, whether we consciously remember it or not.
That's the possibility, isn't it?
I don't know if I told you this last time I was on the show, but I had this support group in San Jose that I was running, and this person in the group one session said, "I've seen you before." "Oh, really? Where? At a UFO conference?" No, I saw you on board the craft." I said, "Really? Oh, that's interesting." And I kind of blew it off because, again, I have no conscious recollection of it, so I didn't think anything about it. It was like a year and a half later. Totally different person after the meeting comes up to me and says, "I've seen you before." I said, "Really? Where? UFO craft?" No. You were sitting on this bench on board the craft naked, and you were freaking out, and they told me to go over to you to calm you down. Well, at that point, I said, "Oh, shit. I'm going to go get regressed. I'm going to go get regressed and see what I can find out." I had 3 separate regressions. Had multiple past lives. That's
something I want to get into.
But did not anything along the lines of being on board a craft or being, in contact with these non-human intelligences. And then I was talking to a person sometime later, and they said, well, perhaps this person somehow saw you in a past life, and that's where this happened. And these entities seem to be able to manipulate space and time. And if they can do things like that, anything is possible.
Maybe they see you in the future being abducted.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, there's the skeptic a-hole in me would be like, well, that just sounds like a pickup line of an alien abduction. Hey, I've seen you. We were both naked on a craft together. But at the same time, I've had that. I've had somebody come to me on doing the show. I won't say who. That's like, I know we've been on a craft together. I don't know that. I have not. I don't memory of that. But is it possible?
Right.
Yeah. It is. Who knows? I think everybody could possibly be taken. But it's interesting you bring up the past life thing, because I've had some experiences in that, and I've had a past life regression with Chris Lee, I guess we've had on a number of times, which was really interesting. But I was too scared, and it's not that he wouldn't have done it. I was too scared to do the alien, the regression thing. I was not at that point. I don't know if I do now want to or not. Like, do I want to open that Pandora's box?
Well, when we have people come to us to the OPUS website, they're looking for support. We have 2 things we can offer them. One is a confidential online support group, and we have now over 400 people from around the world that are basically talking 24/7 with one another about their experiences, asking questions, things like that. And then we have a kind of a triage group called our E.S.T, our Experiencer Support Team. They're very experienced people working with people that have had experiences like this, and we work with the person that comes to us and see how we can best help them. And then we have a referral network of mental health practitioners and hypnotherapists, that if somebody is looking for any help in those lines, and when a person says, well, I'd like to be referred to a hypnotherapist, we always talk to them about the fact that, are you sure you want to really get into it? Because you may hear something that you're not going to like. And once that toothpaste is out of the tube, it's hard to put it back in.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel comfortable, it's probably not the time to do it.
I don't know. I mean, I have this part of me that wants to know how the universe works. Like, I want to know. There's a part of me wants to know, but there's other part of me is like, I'm a responsible father and husband, and I need to pay the bills and do my job and not screw with myself psychologically. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause I can do that.
Well, and that's the thing too. You bring up a good point, is that the majority of people, okay, get up in the morning, have breakfast, go to work, come home in the afternoon, have a cocktail, have dinner, watch some TV, go to bed. Next day, they do the same routine over and over and over and over. But they need to do that. They got to put food on the table. They got to take care of their family. So people like you and I that have the ability or the desire or the wherewithal to be able to do something different and to really delve into these kind of things. My whole process started when I was 11 years old, and I saw this craft, and it scared the crap out of me. And by the time I got my father
Sure
to
you
come
weren't
out,
abducted? The saying, 11 years old, see a craft,
Yeah.
that's the first red flag.
Yeah, there you go. And my father said, "Oh, it's probably just a beacon of light reflecting off a cloud." Well, I didn't buy that, and I went to the library and started reading books on UFOs. Back in those days, this is the late '50s. George Adamski was the guy, and his books were absolutely fascinating with these incredible photographs of the craft and everything. And so anyway. But that's when I got started in all of this stuff, and I've always been really interested in the topic.
See, I've been a believer maybe because I'm a sci-fi geek ever since I could talk. So I didn't see a UFO until I was a teenager. I was like 16, staying outside, smoking cigarettes with a bunch of friends. And, I'd say it was 4 other friends. And this thing came right up over our heads, like cylindrical shaped. No lights, but it had like these boxy compartment, like kind of like, it wasn't like smooth completely. Like it had little like box pieces. I don't know how to describe it. It just went right over our heads. I remember feeling this like buzzing in my head and looking up, and we all did. Nobody said, "Hey, look at that." We all just felt it, I think, and looked up. What is weird to me about that experience is the next day, I remember trying to talk to them at high school at lunch, and I got laughed at. Like, what are you talking about? Like, only one person kind of vaguely remembered it. Like, I never forgot it. Well, but it's like wiped from their minds.
And that's very common. I mean, you'll have a couple of people or a group of people that see something like that, and nobody talks about it. It's like, okay, all right, we saw that.
Well, it's not only that; it's like it didn't happen to them.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
they don't remember it. I don't think they would have messed with me that way. I don't think. I think if they would have remembered it, they would have been like, "Yeah, that's crazy. Wow." They weren't.
Yeah.
People that would deny it, but in their minds, it didn't happen. Even though they were there and looked up with me, and we all were quiet. And then when it was done, we were like, "Okay, I'm going home. I'm done for the night." I think it freaked everybody out. But at the same time, the next day, it was like it was just a dream to them, or it never happened.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a common characteristic as well, that some people will remember and others not a thing,
and some people
or maybe
see
years
it
later.
Some people see it, but somebody next to them doesn't see what they're seeing. Just that's another occurrence. That it makes me wonder about the whole perception. Some people can see them and others can't.
Yeah, our visual spectrum is quite narrow, and but then again, some people have a broader spectrum. than others, and so that may be a physical cause of it, other than something being blocked.
Yeah. Well, maybe the reason I can remember is that I already accepted the idea of aliens and UFOs, that they were real before I ever saw them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, that was just a grounded fact. I'd read already by then, I think I was in grade school when I read my mom's copy of Eric Van Dyneken's Chariots of the Gods. You know, I was a firm believer before Ancient Aliens, the TV show, ever came out.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
Interesting.
I always thought maybe that's the reason why I was able to grasp onto it. That even though it's the first, mainly only major, I know for sure that's a UFO alien craft. Our government does not have something that big. Maybe it does, but at the time I thought was no, our government doesn't have something that big, that massive, that can float silently 600-700 feet up above Michigan City and fly down and not make a noise. You know, no way. It's so huge. Yeah. It was so big. You know, like no way. That's what I thought, but now I don't know. But at the time, I'm like, it's aliens. It's aliens.
No,
you know,
there's been so many sightings, you know, especially of the triangular craft that have gone, you know, from coast to coast. And
I think this is the last time I don't know if I've talked to him before since the last time I had you on, but I ended up by chance. I had to have somebody translate for me, but I played a video game called Star Wars Squadrons, like flying X-Wings and TIE fighters and all that. And I'd play with this French guy and a French-Canadian guy. And the French guy spoke no English, but the French-Canadian guy would translate as we pilot together. And we came to find out later, you know, I knew the French guy was a pilot and all that. Well, he had served, I forgot what it was, but he was in, where was it? In Belgium. Like he was part of a group. He was there. He was in a what was the jet he was flying? He was flying a fighter jet. I know that. I can't remember right now. I'm so tired. He was there. Saw the Belgium Triangle UFOs, huge, massive, like Terry Lovelace size that he saw.
Right.
And he even had his equipment and his thing shut down when he got too close to it. When he tried to put his the laser or whatever it is to target it. Shut everything down in his thing, in his cockpit.
Yeah, in 2008, I was involved with the putting on the MUFON Symposium in San Jose, and we brought in that general that was in charge of the Air Force at the time in Belgium that sent up the jets, and so he made a presentation about it. And yeah, I mean, these things are very real, and they don't belong to anybody that we know.
He wouldn't talk to us about it right away. He's like, I will let you know if I can talk to you about it. I'll get back to you. Like, check.
Exactly.
Because he was that worried about talking about it, you know. But I believe him. You know, these things. That's the thing. There's all these things that we know about, me and you being in this, the history of it. There's so much history of it. When what's frustrating about the congressional hearings and all this stuff is, like, let's open up these cases because the government was involved and all. There's so many. I could bring you tons. You guys should have tons of files and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I know. That first report was like 400 cases, and they could only
and there were crap
one.
cases. There were crap cases too.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
And they were only very short time frame. You know, so they didn't go back any further to any of the more significant.
Well, there's nothing
cases.
there. There's no records. There's nothing exists, right?
Yeah,
that's what they try to tell us. Big baloney. Big baloney. That's what's so frustrating about it is just that they act like that this is just recent. We started looking at baloney. Baloney. You know. It's like you guys should have tons of records. There's tons of instances that were national security threats, major national security threats to this country, and and you don't have those records. You don't have anything. You never looked into that. Bull. You know, I mean, we've had guests on a lot of historical ones. You know, I mean, look, 1941. Even going back, what's that? The town that Rush Limbaugh grew up in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
It's like a classic case there that happened before Roswell. You know, our government probably took that stuff. And they had that up at the Pentagon. You know, they had materials there, and then Wright-Patterson, and then you have Area 51, and then you know, there's so much history. Don't tell me there's no records or paperwork on any of this. There is. There's tons of evidence within our government, I'm sure. You know, when that starts coming out, then I'll feel like we got some disclosure going on. When we start talking to alien abductees and taking it seriously, I'll feel like we got disclosure going on. It's a start. We got to start. But there's a lot of work, a lot of things that need to come out, a lot of things that people need to be aware of that have been going on for, you know, in U.S. history for the last 80 years.
Oh,
But
yeah.
also on the
Absolutely.
fact of the deep religious level, I'm sure to impact this world is that it's been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years or longer.
Oh, sure.
We're going to
Absolutely.
go to commercial break and come back and open up the phone lines if you want to stick with us here. So we got tonight. It'd be great if anybody that is an experiencer to call in and share with Les your experience tonight and get his insights. I think it'd be a great time for you to call in. Just wait till after the commercial break because we're going to go to commercial break. I'll open up the phone lines when we come back for commercial break. Don't call till we come back. I got a couple phone lines. I'll get those numbers out to you, but we will be right back.
Conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
Please, Spock, do me a favor. And don't say it's fascinating. No. But it is interesting.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419. Or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Lester Velez. He is the author of The Unknown Other and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact. Obviously, you know, some people feel threatened, as I had in the World Wide Web of Weird, is us having conspiracy theories about alien contact dangerous to our government and our governmental institutions not having trust in them? You know, I don't trust them. I have plenty of history to back me up. But tonight, who I do trust is you. Call in with your experiences, because that's how we figure out what's going on. We got to share our experiences. I share mine, you share yours. Phone lines are now going to be open. Call in and join the conversation with our guest, Lester Velez. We're going to talk about alien abductions. Have you had an experience? Are you like me, had ones you're not sure of? I'm still not sure of, you know. Talk about it. Call in. Join the conversation. Let's go ahead and get back to our guest. All right, Jamie had to leave. We got Les still with us here. Thank you for hanging in, Les. We already got somebody on the line. If you're all right taking a phone call.
Sure.
All right. We got Dan on the line. How you doing tonight, Dan?
Good. How you, buddy?
Doing good, man. I was hoping you'd call in.
Hello there, Les.
Hey, how you doing, Dan? Good. How yourself?
Good. Yeah, Jason, I was calling in to kind of touch on what you was talking about, our Star Wars friend.
Yeah, because Dan was on that call.
Yeah, I also talked to him and Strange privately once as well, and yeah, it's a heck of a story from a heck of a F-15 pilot. Yeah.
F-15, thank you.
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah, like I said, we had to have our friend from a Canadian French do the translating for us, but it was so fascinating, and like Dan, like you said, you got to have a little more conversation with him. I remember, but you yourself, Dan. Reason I said I'm glad you called in. You've had your experiences.
Yeah, I have. Like I say, there's been a lifetime of weirdness and stuff like that just happens, I guess. I don't know, man.
Well, I know, you're like me. You struggle with understanding the experiences, you know, what's going on, and like you've had an awakening over the last several years, and you've made some amazing art from it too. But I think you should share. You know, we don't have all night, but you know, because you've had a lot of experiences. But share a little bit with us. Tell them what's been going on.
Yeah, I had a traumatic event, and during that event, I had something weird happen, and I'm kind of starting to put things together, but it's like I don't know, I was saved by something there, deferred the mysterious experience, and I had another, situation with my, foot getting infected. I could have died too. So it's like two two death situations, and along with, PTSD, some of your memories from your past return
Sure.
in a way like that before. And I started, remembering a little bit of that. And it's not nothing that I can remember that's, like your typical abduction experience where you're placed on a bed and tortured. Nothing like that.
Have you ever tried to get help for your PTSD and investigate that?
Yes, I'm currently still doing that, yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I think.
But,
Go ahead.
oh, go right ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's important to try to resolve your PTSD as best you can. Um, are you doing this through a private situation, or is this involved with a VA or something like that?
It's not anything military related, if that's,
Okay.
yeah, not like that. So,
Okay.
but it is, I am in, counseling and everything that comes with it for that.
Dan,
Okay.
can we say what the incident you've talked about a little bit on the show before, just to give them an idea what it is? Because his life was saved, definitely by a miraculous event.
It was a workplace shooting,
Oh wow. Okay.
mass shooting. So,
Oh wow. Yeah, that'll
um,
certainly be traumatic.
but I still wonder why that happened, but
But
and then after that, things have gotten weird, and they've continued to progress into the weird. Still trying to figure it out myself.
Well, I think you, Dan. I think what that event did is waking you up things that happened before that event that you saw.
Yeah.
It triggered something.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And that
It
happened.
brought it back in a vivid detail, like a flashback, and then I remembered it. And I remembered it all. But it's like you guys were talking about earlier. You've seen it, and then you just went back to sleep, and it was never talked about again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very common. I mean, people talk about, the fact that, well, this they see this light outside their window, and they get up and they look out, and then next thing they know, they're back in bed and not thinking about it, just go right back to sleep. It's weird reactions that are basically not normal, but it's so common.
Fair. Definitely. I think that's also why some people are like, I saw this thing and I didn't take a photo. Because their brain locks up. I know when I saw my thing, my brain locked up. I didn't have a phone back then to take a picture, but I bet I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
As far as aliens, I'm pretty sure that's not what I'm dealing with.
Ah, okay.
Pretty sure.
More interdimensional.
Yeah.
Still, some people would still say that's aliens. Is just that they're interdimensional aliens.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they do have that look about them, but a little more. I don't know, not what you hear about, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
A little more.
there's beings of light, okay, especially in the interdimensional realm. These are basically energies that are coming through, and they may not be fully formed in any particular way, but the person knows that there's something there. It's significant. They're getting messages. They're getting interaction with that entity. Um, it's very complex. This is nothing that we can just simply say is this or that. It's a multitude of things, and we certainly don't understand it all. But certainly, during that congressional hearing with Grush, he talked about the fact that what we're dealing with is interdimensionality. So that was quite a revelation. Him saying that.
Did you have any questions
Yeah.
otherwise about your experiences, Dan, or something you wanted to touch upon? Because I mean, like I said, Les here has got a lot of people he's interviewed and dealt with these kind of experiences, so he'd be somebody great to give you insight.
I will ask you this: diamond UFOs, kind of bright yellow, almost like a real sharp light. There's no glare whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever heard anything like that. They're kind of yellowish, orange, and kind of.
I tell you, if you go onto the MUFON website, MUFON.com, they have areas where you can see the various types of shapes that people have talked about, and the diamond shape is also something that's common.
Gary Lovelace
So
saw before their incident at Devil's
It's
Den.
a
Remember,
little-
a diamond-shaped UFO above the nuclear facility they were at, the air base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a little morphy, like it looks like like a perspective square, and then the diamonds, I guess.
Yeah, they've been known to actually change shape. Go from a single object to multiple objects, change, their overall shape, as you just said. They have capabilities that we don't understand, or how that could possibly be. So, there's been theories about that these things are biological in nature as well.
The ships.
Yeah, the ships, and so they've been, in our our planet for eons, and they're just part of the whole system, but we don't understand it. It's just nothing is straightforward. You know, it's such a mixed bag, and we're trying to better understand it, and whether or not we're making huge progress. Probably our government does know a hell of a lot more than they're letting on, obviously. But I think someday soon, I think we'll know a lot more.
Well, Dan, thank you for calling in, bud.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Les.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
And you know, Dan, you should his website is Opus Network, right? OPUSnetwork.org.
Right.
You should check it out, and like as you say, you have support groups and
Sure.
people you could probably talk to. Who knows, Dan? How many people might be having very similar experiences to what you've had? I know yours seems so different than what you see in the mainstream of ufology and people's experiences, but I wouldn't be willing or wouldn't be surprised if you got into one of these groups and found people having very similar experiences as you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Check out our website. And if you want to, there's a support button there, and, you can have one of our support team members talk to you, or if you want to be put into the support group, we could do that for you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
right.
Dan.
Thanks,
Have a great
Dan.
night.
You too. Thanks. Good night.
Because, Dan and other people come to me with like their experiences, and I love hearing them, but I can't help them. I can't give them an explanation or an answer what they're experiencing. I'm just an ear,
Right.
Which is sometimes what you do need. But I'd love for Dan to reach out to people that might be having experiences just like his, very similar to his. Because I wouldn't be surprised.
One of the things that is important is the fact that we don't have all the answers. A very
very
because
few of the answers.
Yeah, very few of the answers, but the bottom line on all of this is the support setup that we have for people, the online support group, confidential online support group. Once people understand that they're not alone, that there's other people having similar experiences, it is basic. It's a very positive thing for them that, oh my God, other people are having similar things. And so, I'm not crazy, because a lot of these people go to a psychologist or psychiatrist and they think they're going crazy, and they find out that they don't have a psychopathology. So then what?
Right.
What the hell do you do then? And so
I mean, look how how quickly communion blew up for Whitley Strieber. There's a reason, because he it went so quick, so bestseller, because there are people that were like Terry, who saw the book cover.
Yep.
And like,
So many-
it shocked their system. Like, they'd not seen TV or movies with these things, or had any idea, or never saw Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They see Whitley Strieber's cover, and they see that face, and it woke them up. I think it woke up a lot of people. Imagine if this starts going more mainstream, what it wakes up to. We got another caller I want to get to.
Sure.
Who do we got on the line?
Hi, Jason. It's Azariana. How are you tonight?
Hey, Azariana. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. I wanted to, I wanted to, well, you know my story and stuff
Les
like that.
doesn't, so go ahead and tell a shortened version.
Yeah. Well, shortened version, I was abducted from the age of 5 to adulthood by what I have come to know as the Nordic aliens. They're tall, white. And, of course, the Greys would be the ones that would be there to take me to them. And they've shown me many things over the years, which have come to pass. And I was also in the hybrid when I was a teenager and childbearing hybrid program, alien children.
Yep.
And let's call it. So I was that and till my adulthood, and now anyway, I got mad, and Jason knows I had this pyramid little rock that I was given when I was a child, and you could it looked like a Hershey's Kiss, but it was more of a pyramid shape, and it wasn't you could scratch it, you could damage it, and it would repair itself. It wasn't metal, it wasn't aluminum, I never knew what it was. But anyway, they took that away from me. And up until recently, a couple years, maybe 3 years, they've been, they've always been tracking me, but I have another implant in my leg, and it moves. And I don't know, I haven't come to realize why they did that, since I am older and I don't know what purpose it has, But along with this new implant and various other things, downloading messages and communicating with them and stuff like that, I now have PTSD, and it's I won't say it's manageable. I do try to manage it, but sometimes it's just so,
overwhelming.
I'd like to tell people, something's coming, be careful, and things like that. But it does, bother me,
Oh, of course.
Every time, and every time a couple years ago, I wanted to start a local group for experiencers in my area. And every time I tried to do something on my laptop, it wouldn't work. Things would be blocked. I could never do that. And I would get mad and say, look, this is what I want. Other people to view their experiences, to let it out in the open and maybe deal with it. And I haven't. That hasn't come into anything, because every time I try, something else happens, you know,
Yeah, no,
for me.
it's interesting that you're being blocked, which is not uncommon. Are you doing anything for your PTSD?
I just, well, like I said, I try to manage it, but I kind of hide, you know, 'cause I'm kind of, I'm kind of afraid, you know, if they're coming back for me, what are they going to do? Things like that, you know, at this point,
Yeah, because I was
you
going to
know.
suggest that if you are having issues that way, that it obviously it's not a good place to be, having to deal with that. Where are you located generally?
I'm in Connecticut.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm originally from Connecticut.
Hey,
Where
hey, that's
where
good. That's good.
whereabouts in Connecticut?
I'm in the New Haven area,
New Haven.
if you're
Okay,
familiar.
my parents
Yeah.
lived in West Haven.
Ah, yeah, West Haven. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, what
yeah.
I was going to suggest is that if you do want to delve into it more deeply, we do have a referral network of people that have that kind of background to deal with PTSD, um, uh, and they also understand uh, the 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 contact with non-human intelligences aspect of all of this as well. But that's something think about but you can reach out to us at opusnetwork.org, and we have a
Okay,
support button there, and you can join the support group. We have this confidential online support group where you can
okay.
talk to other experiencers. We'd be happy to get you into the group. Um, so, but yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? The things that are going on, and uh, with people like yourself, but you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there having the same kind of thing.
I was going to ask you, have you had anybody ever, like Ziriana, who was given this pyramid-like object? Ziriana, I'm correct, it would glow when you knew they were coming, when you used to have this object?
It would, yeah, it would get cool and it would turn blue, a bluish glow in my hand.
Have you had any other experiencers with something similar like that, with an object given to them?
I've heard of something along those lines previously. I don't recollect the specific incident, but I have heard of some kind of object that a person is given, and then subsequently it's taken away.
Taken away, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I have been asking, can I have it back? And all I get is no, no. I would like it back at this point.
Because you're going to give it to me. That's why they're not going to give it back.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly.
Have you asked them why they're doing what they're doing to you?
Well, I am supposed to see. I've been downloading messages, not on a constant basis, but on a monthly basis at this point, with their messages and communicating with them. And I mean, it would be in the form of a book at this point, but I don't know. I don't know again if I would be blocked if I actually started to go through the process of actually telling other people the messages that I have. And I've also been given visions. And the visions that I see, I know that it's from them, and I don't like the visions.
Yeah.
And
do you have a journal?
Very scary.
Do you journal this kind of information? Are you writing it down in a journal?
Oh, I've written it down. Yes, I have written it down.
Okay,
and if I can't write it down, I have an iPhone, so I try to record it.
Oh, okay.
But everything that I've seen in the past has come through like dominoes, and it worries me because I can't change it. It's just, it's like,
No, I
and,
know. You get these visions or thoughts that are disturbing. And have you had any visions or things like that where you could actually reach out to the authorities in any way, shape, or form to warn somebody about something that may be happening, or is it more nebulous than that?
well, if I ever did, I think they would call me crazy at this point.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the thing is that you can document this stuff by basically sending a letter to yourself. Write this down in a letter and then mail it, and then you get it.
Yeah, the
All right.
postage
So
stamp.
yeah, so it's stamped and everything, and then you could take this to the authorities. The next time you have something like that, and say, "Here, look at this. Here's what happened the last time I had this kind of thought, and it did come true through, and here's the evidence that I sent it before it actually happened." I mean, there's many psychics out there, and it sounds like you have psychic capabilities, and you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of stigma attached to people that are quote unquote psychic. But the bottom line is that I think a lot of people are very genuine. They have those kind of capabilities, and they absolutely work.
hmm Now, I don't know. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Is that possible? Okay. I recently had a test done. I have lots of medical issues, and they were doing something on my leg and whatever, the blood flow and stuff like that. And they went in the area where my implant is. And now you could hear, on my leg and on my other area on my leg, you could hear, like a heartbeat, the blood flow.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to where the implant is, there was absolutely nothing. No blood flow, no nothing. It was silent.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who was doing this test, actually, I say it wrong, but I think he creeped out because he went to get someone else to go over this area. And she had a hard time trying to find anything to hear.
Wow, interesting.
And at the time that they were, and they pressed really hard, on your skin. And as they were pressing, I could feel the implant moving.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything, I'm not going to say anything, but I don't, part of me is like, their expressions, just their facial expressions creep me out, and I'm going, oh boy, what's on, right? And then the second question that I was going to ask is, do you have a picture of what you saw? Just to get some kind of evidence,
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Well,
But,
I mean, is the implant bothering? Is the implant bothering you?
It does bother me at times, and every time when they first put it in, I tried to take it out.
Oh,
it was
really?
close to the skin,
Oh, okay.
and I had a scar. I had a little scar, and I tried to remove it, and then it started moving. And as it moved, I could feel within my body the blood flowing and it changing either the blood flow or the DNA or something. Just something was different. And as this thing moves within this side of my body, something is changing. And I can't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it could be verified, but something is definitely, I don't know what's wrong with this implant, if there's something wrong, or if it's a different type of implant, or what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
You mentioned the fact that it moves, and certainly the late Dr. Roger Lear, who had taken out 17 implants from various people, uh, found that there's obviously no inflammatory or rejection reaction by the body to these foreign objects. And so you haven't had any issues with that. And there's usually no visible portal of entry where these implants are. There's a lot of specialized nerve endings surrounding the object usually. And there's an outer coating of ceramic biological material that they've found. And there's things like the emission of radio waves, which are deep space
Terry.
frequencies in the FM band that are coming off of these objects.
Terry had a Mexican radio station coming through on his.
The electromagnetic fields in excess of 10 milligauss, composition of meteoric iron, rare earth metals such as U-236, a single isotope of uranium existing by itself, as well as elements such as uridium, which is very rare and hard to find in the Earth. Non-terrestrial isotopic ratios indicating the involved elements did not come from Earth. There's all kinds of evidence. There's all kinds of evidence that these are objects that are they tracking you? Are they monitoring your health in some way, shape, or form? Which somebody has posited that it could be something like that, checking
Or
for
your
pollution.
DNA?
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
just
think so. I think so.
yeah. So,
well, thank
you
you.
should.
I mean,
you should ask them that question the next time you get a chance. Like, so what's the implant all about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of things that I, I won't say I foresee it. I've already seen it. And, quite scary. And,
Sure.
Besides me and a few others who can handle it, it's, I wouldn't say it in public, I really wouldn't say it in public.
Right. I mean, it's unfortunately there's a lot of stigma attached to this type of thing still, and so we have to be careful about who you talk to about these kind of things. But it's getting to be less stigmatized, specifically because of the congressional hearings, and it's kind of proof or confirmation that these things are real. We have crashed UFOs, we have alien bodies, and so what are they doing? What are they doing? And why? And why? Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, I will look into your OPUS
Network.
OPUS, is it?
OPUSnetwork.org.
Network.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All righty.
Good talking to you.
Thank you, and nice talking to you too.
All right.
And blessings to everybody. Thank you.
Absolutely. Same to you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Who is anybody picked up the work of Roger Lear? Or Roger Lear, right? Like taking implants out, or somebody can still doing that at all?
And basically, what nobody's come forward. There was one gentleman that he was working with that's down in Southern California. I can't think of his name right now, but Yeah, basically what he's not a surgeon, but what he'll do is he'll analyze your body and see if there are implants in there, or if you've got one, then he can verify that it's there. There's another gentleman down in Southern California that actually works with people when they and he supposedly can shut these implants down without surgery. And
Well,
so,
why Roger Lear was such a hero is the amount of liability he could have set himself up for doing surgeries. It's not, it's risky business. It's, to do any kind of surgery on somebody. And he every time he did one of those surgeries, he was opening himself up to some kind of liability. And so that's why, to me, he's a hero, because, he put his career and himself financially at risk doing these things. I mean, wasn't it Whitley Strieber who had one in his ear that he tried to remove, but it moved, and he said, it's just too dangerous. And I don't think
also, Whitley interviewed me. God, when was it? I think it was, this year, early part of this year. And we talked about that implant, and he says it communicates with him.
So he's a dream interview
him.
for me. That's Whitley Strieber, somebody I would love to talk to.
Oh my God, and so this thing gives him information. It's talking to him. So there's no want on his part of removing this thing at all now.
Yeah. Now, well, that's somebody. The reason I love to talk to Whitley Strieber is we've watched him from Communion and his experiences and how they've developed from then to now, how much it's changed for him.
Oh yeah,
the passing of his wife and how much more of a spiritual level this has gone for him.
Well, that's a good point, and that's what I say that this is. This whole thing is a spiritual journey that these people are on, and some of them are dealing with the devil, some of them are dealing with angels, but the majority of the people come out of it with this worldview that we need to be better to one another, more loving, better stewards of the planet. These are all very positive things, and so, but it's such a mixed bag, and it's just another reality that is here in maybe a different dimension that is interacting with us constantly interacting with us.
Well, that's the question, is like, how much are aliens involved in the afterlife, in the other realm? That people have experiences, near-death experiences have a lot of. Me and Terry have talked about this, and he has his own book about how near-death experiences have very similar commonalities between abduction experiences. And there's also afterlife. People have been abducted and see somebody who's been deceased during their abduction experience.
Well, the paranormal has so many things going on, whether it's spiritual awakening, kundalini awakening, UFOs, poltergeist, ghosts, all this stuff is interrelated. It's all interrelated. One of the gentlemen in my book, I've had 25 stories from people from the support group, and one of the stories is about a gentleman that had an experience, and he really started to be able to talk with these entities, and they got on the subject of the afterlife, and that reincarnation is basically a mechanism of the universe. This is how things work, and of course our spirit never dies. It goes on. That energy goes on, and so when I heard that, I said, well, this is interesting because I've had multiple past lives, all right, and of course I don't remember them other than under hypnosis, and the feelings that one comes away with after talking about these things is, I mean, I was crying in a couple of the sessions talking about what I was involved with, and so we just don't fully understand all this. And near-death experiences, one of the when we first got started, and this gal was probably one of the reasons why we started OPUS back in 1994. I was written up in the Monterey Coast Weekly paper and about what I do for MUFON and investigate UFOs, and this woman contacted me afterwards and said, I'd like to understand what's going on with my brain when I'm in contact with these off-earthly entities. And I thought to myself, well, I don't know how I can possibly help this person. And but then she said she was working with an emergency room doctor down in Carmel, California. And that piqued my interest because I had a doctor friend who ended up being the co-founder with me, Dr. Eugene Lipson, who unfortunately has passed away. And I said, why don't we go down there? You can meet this doctor because I know you want to meet other doctors that are interested in the phenomena. So we did. We went down one Saturday afternoon and we walked into her house. There's this picture on the wall, and it's her standing on the back of a fairly large boat in on crystal clear blue waters. And I asked her, I said, what's that all about? She says, oh yeah, I'm down in the Caribbean helping these treasure hunters. And I said, well, how were you doing that? She says, well, I was in contact with the captain of the galleon that had gone down.
Oh, I remember this story. Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. And she said, well, after a near-death experience that she had, she became very psychic. And all these things started to happen to her. So, yeah, there was another case where this doctor, female doctor, was on a kayaking expedition down in South America on one of the rivers down there. And she went over a falls and got trapped under the falls for over 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know this story. Yeah.
You know that one?
Yeah.
And she saw these entities while she was under, and she wanted to go with them. And they said, no, you can't. You have to go back. There's things that you need to do. And then they also told her that her son, when he turned 18, would have an accident and pass away.
Yeah.
Of course, she never said anything to her son about that.
And what a horrible thing to know.
I know.
Right? I've never understood that story. It's like it's like miraculous and heartbreaking all in one.
Yeah, I know. So these are the things that we just don't understand. And I've worked with a psychic from Canada, Patricia Mona, and she's incredible. She works with the police up there. She finds missing people. She finds bodies, all kinds of things. She can tell people about their future. She can tell people about their past. And how is that possible?
Right.
How is that possible?
Well, there's another sensory framework that I think has been with us from our evolution that we've forgotten about or lost touch with, that we might be that could be part of the whole alien influence. Like you said, people come back with more psychic ability sometimes.
Right.
And, I've been told, because I have a tendency to drain watches and batteries all the time, that's somebody told me that was an abductee. It's like, oh, you're what they call it, a slider or whatever. You're an abductee because that's an effect. I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
But it's something it started in my 20s and is not gotten any better. Like I can't wear a watch. I drain it, and my phone, everything else drains super fast.
Wow.
There's weird things like that. We don't know how we're being changed or affected or whatever. But on the past life thing, ever since I was a kid, I had a feeling that there's past lives. Like, I grew up in a very open household when it came to religion or philosophy. I didn't have any dogmas really. So to me, past lives made sense. When I was in my 20s, I had two different times, but separately, but two very vivid dreams of past lives that just, to me were so real when in the vision. I had, like I said, I had the past life regression a few years ago with Chris Lee, and I didn't see those same past lives that I had those two dreams about. But that was interesting too. But it was nowhere near as vivid as those two dreams. Like I felt like they were gifts because both those dreams explained a lot about why I'm wired the way I am.
Right.
You know, it's like I was shown those two past lives to explain to me why you keep people at a distance, why you don't trust your government, why you don't trust religion. Like both of them really explain a lot of it. You know, one I was a Buddhist monk that turned in my temple leader and then got everybody killed, including myself. And the other one I was a little black girl slave that was beaten to death by my biological father.
Oh, wow.
You know, there's a lot of there.
Yeah.
It's a lot longer story than that, but you know, to unpack it all, thinking about it
Mhm.
years later, it explains a lot about why I'm wired the way I am.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
also opening to the idea that I'm much more than Jason Bland personality. You know who I am, this ego. That there's something way beyond
Deeper.
that.
Deeper. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm doing now, okay, for OPUS and also MUFON, because I'm still a member of MUFON. I'm also on their A.R.T, their Experiencer Resource Team, as a research consultant. And, you know, every once in a while, you know, I get the brain fart that, okay, I'm done. I'm finished. This is enough. Going to move on. It won't happen. I start getting phone calls, people contacting me. I need help. I got to do this. You know, what can I do? You know, and so I feel that this is my mission. This is my mission. And whether or not they're guiding it or there's some other force or entity that's doing this. So I'm just happy. It's very gratifying to be able to help people, and to know that they have gotten the kind of help that they need to be able to deal with this stuff, because a lot of people have a very difficult time dealing with it. You know, they can't, in a lot of cases, they can't talk to their family members, they can't talk to clergy, they can't talk to fellow workers. You know, where do you turn?
Or even their spouse.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Oh, and that's very common. That's very common. Just like you said with your wife, you know, you can talk. You can talk to her about ghosts and things like that, but don't talk to her about UAPs and aliens and things like that.
Every time something weird happens, I tell you, man, every time something weird happens, it seems to point to like I'm being taken or missing time or whatever. I get this look from my wife, like, "Oh my God, no!" You know, like I don't want any part of that. You know, like I love all the other stuff, but that's the part that's the only thing that really freaks her out.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
But to me, it's just, I mean, I guess there's part of me that is freaked out about it. That's why I haven't done the regression. There's part of me that's like wants to know, and there's other part of me is scared to know, you know, because it's something out of my control, obviously.
Sure. And based on what you just said, I would say don't do the regression. Don't do it yet. You know, maybe someday you'll be ready, but right now, don't do it.
But I feel like the past life thing is like a big key to this, like a big piece of the puzzle. You know, too, that they have some involvement or knowledge of past lives or who we are beyond just this ego we're identify as, or this personality or this lifetime, that they know our other lifetimes.
You know, I've been told that I'm an old soul, and so what that means is that this energy, you know, your soul, is something that's been around a long time, and it continues to be around. Just because this physical body it dies, that energy does not, and so, you know, a lot of people are afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of dying. I mean,
I used to not be until it became a parent, and then like you know, all the fears and paranoia came in. Well, you know, when I was old Art Bell days, I've talked about this a billion times on the show, but one of the Art Bell episodes that really like just fascinated me was when he had John Lear on, not Roger Lear, John Lear. And John Lear went off on his tangent about the moon being like a soul capacitor, basically, and that aliens might be in charge of our past life. And don't go to the light, Carol Ann, kind of thing. You know, don't trust. But do we trust the light? Are the aliens really in control of our past lives and all this stuff? I actually asked John Lear about that interview, or you know, with Art Bell many years later. And he had said, he says, "Oh yeah, that really came about because the night before he had been up really late at night talking to Whitley Strieber."
Oh.
And they were really just speculating about the whole afterlife thing and the spiritual aspects that Whitley Strieber was having, and what are aliens' relationship to us in the afterlife and reincarnation and all that. And that's where that whole kind of like tangent came from. You know, but it blew my mind the moment I heard it. And the moon, I've always been fascinated by the moon. But the idea that they could have some aspect or influence or control or a part of our whole reincarnation process.
Well, they seem to be able to manipulate us any which way they want to. They have that kind of control, so who knows? Who knows?
Well, think about this. Think about this. You have an alien race searching for a planet to habitat. What's the chances they find a planet that's going to have just the right amount of gravity, just the right amount of air, and no microbes that are going to kill them like War of the Worlds, and all these factors that make it hard. It's not like Star Trek. Like every planet's got about the same amount of gravity, and you just beam down and be all right, right? It's more like Alien. You're going to beam down and some face hugger is going to snatch onto your face and give you something or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But there's, planets come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, gravity and air and all these things. Like for an alien race to truly inhabit a new world, and NASA's looking at this for people going to Mars, that we might have to, they have to genetically change who they are to live on that new world. I mean, even if we do colonize Mars, it's going to change the people who live there. It'll change the gravity's different. It'll change their skeletal structure, even and their bone density and everything.
Yeah.
If we always think of aliens being so far advanced technology wise, but we don't think about how far advanced they might be spiritually wise, and their abilities to harness or understand things we have no concept of, like reincarnation, like understanding the mechanics of it, that they could build new bodies and put their consciousness into those bodies to be able to inhabit a new world.
Yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless. Once you start going down this path, possibilities that anything is on the table. Anything is on the table. I mean, if they have the kind of, how old these civilizations are that are visiting us. Okay, they're billions of years old. I mean, the technology is just way beyond what we could possibly even conceive.
It's like where Gene Roddenberry from Star Trek, when he made Next Generation and the original TOS, that, I'm sorry, Trekkie. He had entities in there. They were so far advanced, they were like God, like Q.
Exactly. Well, and that the Bible talks about that all the time.
Right.
These things coming down and so many civilizations, talk about these gods. All right, with these incredible superpowers and everything. Yeah. You go back to your ancient alien. This is the ancient alien stuff.
But it's a thing we have to look at, because what we're dealing with now, if it's always been here, and it's clues to what they are, what's going on. Look at the Indian, the Vedas and the wars the aliens had. Obviously it means there's different kinds of aliens fighting each other. You have these kind of other. There's all kinds of history that point to some kind of influence in man and our culture. How many different civilizations have talked about some other entity, gods, or whatever you want to call it, coming and teaching them astrology and medicines and agriculture. Look at the Cherokee and corn. Like all these things that. All of them. It's not like we discovered it all on ourselves. No, God came, angels came, fiends came, ant people, the Hopis. I'm saying that there's something. Sometimes that they saved us during a flood or whatever. There's all these different things that show a hand has been here influencing us from the beginning.
Well, you hear the stories about Tesla. That he was in communication, and then Edison. He had communication as well. All these things that these people have been able to come up with and invent were probably seeded in some way by these intelligences. And this story goes on and on with various people. Edgar Casey, for instance,
Oh yeah, that's a
that
good one, especially about
capability
past
that
lives.
yeah. So it's amazing.
All
Amazing.
right, we're gonna go to our last commercial break. We got a half hour left, and then we'll see if anybody else wants to call in and continue talking about more of this alien contact and where we're going here in the future, and how we can help. You know, we got opusnetwork.org is a great place. You guys should check out support channels. If you're an experiencer like our Dan and Zarion that called tonight, you definitely should check it out. Because you're not alone. There's tons and millions of people that are experiencing this, and we all have to compare notes to figure out what's going on. All right, we're going to go to commercial break, and we'll be right on back.
Intercepted the transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium live on Facebook, YouTube, and
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it. But to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all. But he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Heat 'em up.
Do,
re,
egon.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Lester Velez. He is the author of The Unknown Other and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact. We talk about a lot of things. There could be a lot of existential problems when it comes to religion, philosophy, and everyday people's perception of what reality is. If more of these things came out, right? Threats to our governmental institutions. That's what we are here tonight. It's good old conspiracy alien believers, right? No, people are opening up to these ideas, and you guys should call in if you've had these experiences. Now, you've got about a half an hour left. Phone lines are open. Call in, share your experiences, because that's how we figure out what's going on. Maybe you don't get all the answers. We'll be asking questions, and I'll be 90 years old about this stuff still. But we're never going to figure it out until we start talking to each other. That's why I do this show. So call in, join the conversation, but let's go ahead and get back to our guests. Thank you for hanging in with us this late at night, Les. So, like I was saying here, the threats to our institutions, our religions, our philosophies, all these things really come about when you really start talking to alien contactees, experiencers, abductees, because you get into the past life, spiritual aspects, you get into we're harming our planet, don't do war, nuclear armament, or nuclear weapons. I mean, think how much, after 1947, how much UFOs started popping up and people having experiences. And what were they telling these experiencers? Stop using your nuclear power, your weapons, it's dangerous, Stop polluting your planet, Our FBI investigated a lot of these Space Brother kind of 1960s communities as threats of communists, like the Russians were implanting these aliens or something because they were talking about communism, they thought. There's a lot of threats to the institutions going on here.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of actors in this play, and we have to try to navigate all of this, and it's not easy. It's not easy, and as you know, these experiences and experiencers have been going on for eons, and we've not managed to get beyond a certain point of realization that this is very real, and that our government, for whatever reason, whether it's national security or some other reason, is not opened up their kimono, so to speak, to tell us what's going on. And it's a tragedy. And there's so many people with so much experience that are starting now to come forward and will continue to come forward, because I think there's a drumbeat that's going on that's going to continue, and we will see, I think, within 24 months maybe, this thing really opening up big time, big time.
What it's going to take, I think, for it to really open up is the history, the files, the things that we've talked about for years. Getting to see, like, what did they actually do? What when Maelstrom happened? You know, we know the stories from the people there, witnesses, but there's paperwork. There's you know, they send in repair teams to fix those missiles. You know, I'm saying there's evidence to this. You know, something that's a national security threat. There's evidence to people like Terry Lovelace, you know, that were abducted and then the military interrogated them. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, could bring it out, but sometimes that's still not enough. You know, like we live in a land of illusion, so somebody could take a video clear as day of a UFO, and I'm going to bring it up on the World Wide Web of Weird and go, I don't know if that's real. Is that CGI? I don't know. You know,
yeah,
that's true. No, it's a land of illusion. We don't know what to believe. Anything now with AI can be faked. You know,
well, not only that, but then you have people faking things on purpose.
Right.
You have people telling fake stories. There's so much disinformation.
There's a lot of ego in the UFO community.
Oh yeah,
You know?
absolutely. That's a good point, Jason. That unfortunately, you know, we have so many organizations that are doing good jobs, okay, with regard to the UAP phenomena, but it's very difficult to get everybody together to work with one another because of the egos, okay, and that's why we, as an organization, OPUS, we're open to working with anybody, and you know, we're involved with the UAP Med. We're a resource for them, and there's other MUFON, for instance. We work with MUFON very, very closely in order to, we share our list of referral type practitioners, mental health practitioners, and hypnotherapists. If we get a new one, we let them know about it, and vice versa. So it's really working well in that regard. But there's a lot more that can be done, and we just need to keep plugging away at this stuff. But it's real. It's happening, folks. It's very real. We have proof. We have proof.
See,
and the
I feel
debunkers
like
can
the
talk
disclosure
about
could
it.
happen because what's happening in the world right now, with the threat
Well-
of nuclear, with the threat of another world war. We have a lot of tensions happening in the world, and when you have two nuclear powers getting more feisty with each other, if you look at the history of UFOs and their interest, it's a lot to do with nuclear technology, about a threat to the planet.
Right.
Are we going to start seeing more of these, like in 1947, after World War II and all that, and Hiroshima, we had a lot more UFOs seen. We have these kind of altercations going on. I mean, there are, right now, I mean, on the field in Ukraine, I can guarantee you there are small nuclear weapons there now. Guarantee it. Our side, Russia side, I guarantee it. It seems like the aliens would be aware of that. That we're going to start seeing as tensions get higher or worse, or things are breaking down, more of these sightings.
Because things are so crazy in this world right now. I mean, it's almost beyond belief. You know, you take a look at our politics here in the U.S. Oh my God, it is crazy.
Clown show.
It's a shit show, as they would say.
I don't like cussing in my show, but I'll allow that because that's exactly the right statement for it. Honestly.
But and then you have Putin, and that whole thing with the Ukraine, and then you have Israel and Gaza there, and that war that's going on, and basically you got these and Kim Jong-un in North Korea. these are all men with huge egos that want power. They have the power. They don't want to release the power, and they're subjugating people. They're killing people. They're doing horrible things. These people, if the aliens would just do one thing, they could wipe out all these despots, and try to get this world going in the right direction.
We
I
got those
mean,
people here though too. We're not just as innocent. I'm saying, and I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not
no,
gonna get into
that's what I'm
politics. So
saying.
I'm just saying, we got corporations that are controlling our government. That's how I look at it. You know, they're no better than the dictators over in those countries. They're just better at manipulating things.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we're not in that same boat, but I'm just saying that
The last two administrations did nothing to help this Ukraine war. Last two administrations, I can lay down the history. Both presidents did everything to help encourage this war with Ukraine.
Well,
we did everything to make sure peace would not happen. Why? Because we have military interest in contracts that got to be fulfilled. You know, war is profit for these people. They don't give a crap about consequences of lives or the planet or anything. It's about making that, I'm going to get a kickback because I got, I got Boeing a good contract on this. This has been the money operation of war for
and it's been
80 years or more.
Well, centuries. No,
centuries, true, in a sense. Yeah, there's a money business to war, and
absolutely.
aliens coming around and saying, hey, we should all get along and peace. That's not very good for their business model.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is true.
Neither is free energy. Neither is curing diseases. A lot of the system we have, and not just our country, every country, there are systems that would be destroyed by the elements of an alien presence that had cold fusion, had cures for diseases, that had a new philosophy or perspective of let's not kill each other.
Right.
There's a lot to be threatened. Power-wise, and like you said, these are people who hold power very dearly and will do many things to keep it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we'll see.
No good guys. That's
We'll
what I'm
see.
saying. There's no good guys in any of these situations. We're not the good guy. They're not the good guy. There are no good guys. There's a lot of corrupt people trying to make a buck off of people's lives.
Right. Exactly.
And so some days I pray for the aliens to come down, land. Not on the White House line, because don't talk to those idiots, but to make their presence known, to wake the world up, wake people up, that's what I want to see. Just people wake up to the system we live in, that there's problems, major issues that we got to change. We got to change direction when it comes to how we treat our planet, how we treat each other, all these things, I'm all for the Space Brothers to come and do that. I know there's some people like, no, it's Project Bluebeam. Don't trust it. I don't know. I mean, I'm one of those people who say trust no one, not even the aliens, of course. But I'd be happy to see him come down and say, hey, cut it out, you stupid humans. We've really had it.
Well, the events that are occurring out at Skinwalker Ranch are really quite fascinating, because of the interaction that is going on with these intelligences, which seem to be very intelligent because they seem to understand what's going to happen before it happens, and that they've managed to throw at the investigators some really bizarre stuff. That things.
This plays that Skinwalker Ranch plays into the whole interdimensional aspect for sure.
Oh yeah,
all the different things, fascinating things that are going on there. What I'd like to know, again, history with our government, is Department of Energy got involved in Skinwalker Ranch with Bigelow back in the day.
Yeah, and
I would love to know what was, where's all that? What did they do? Where's all that information?
Well, I understand that the Department of Energy is the ones that are the big guns in all of this. That's where a lot of this is under their purview. Which is interesting to me.
Right. Well, let's see this congressional hearings, and let's bring some Department of Energy people in. Let's start talking about Skinwalker Ranch. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Fascinating stuff.
It's taxpayers' money. It was spent There shouldn't be anything military-wise involved with that. It's Department of Energy. What were you up to at Skinwalker Ranch? What was your interest there? What did you discover? Who authorized it? Let's get into it. There's a lot, so much. I had done an interview for South Bend ABC News when the disclosure stuff started happening. And what I said to the reporter was, I love that you guys are you're doing this segment. Of course, I'm in it. That's great. And Terry was too. But when I talk to a reporter like you, and I love that you're interested and you're asking these questions, you're doing this report. Of course, she admitted to me she got assigned it.
Sure. Yeah.
Was that, there's so much you don't understand. There's so much history to this. So many things. You're just starting to ask the questions, but that rabbit hole goes way deep. And there's so many more questions you don't even know yet.
And we've been down this path so many times in the past. It's just we're regurgitating the questions that have already been asked and in some cases answered, okay, to various degrees. You go back in the 50s and 60s and look at some of the books that were written back in those days, and there's a lot of incredible information there with regard to the events that occurred and what was found at the time. And but it's like we have amnesia. We forget about it. And it never bubbles up to the level of understanding and consciousness with the general public.
And these are incredible cases that nobody has any clue about. Like, miraculous, incredible things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And sometimes they're re-perceived. Like, I think, the 1900s, 1919, Fatima, the lady of Fatima. Fatima. But I always say Fatima. Fatima. Mm-hmm. To me, a lot, if you dig deep into that, that sounds like a massive UFO sighting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, there was a spiritual aspect, and the children were given the prophecies. They communicated with something. But if you really get into what they communicated with, you get into what people saw in the sky. It sounds like a massive UFO sighting. And what was it trying to? What was if it was aliens, not Mother Teresa or not Mother Mary or the Virgin Mary come to these children?
Virgin
Mary.
What
was it trying to tell us? It was trying to tell us, change your ways. They gave like 3 prophecies of doom in a sense. It's trying to warn us. It was a warning, a massive sighting. What if that happened now? That was 1919. There were some pictures taken, very blurry and all that. Imagine having a massive sighting now and that kind of communication with, like they did with the children. Something like that happening now.
Yeah.
Where beyond the point where the government couldn't cover it up. That's what I'm wondering if that's going to be the catalyst.
It could be, but I think we're going to have something go down here relatively soon.
You're thinking more of a disclosure from like a retired general or somebody big.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's going to happen. And we already had some.
I was gonna say we've had generals come out. I don't think that would make much of a difference, honestly, in my opinion. We've had a lot of people from the military come out. You just, nobody knows, nobody hears it in the mainstream.
Well, I think it's like anything. If you hear this enough times, people are going to start actually believing it. Well,
a big name. It would have to be a big name.
Yeah. Sure.
A big name and total media coverage. And then nobody in the UFO community trusts it because it's all manipulated control. It's Project Bluebeam. You know what I'm saying? And I get that sentiment. There's a good reason not to trust your institutions. I got lots of history to back it up, or your media, know. So if they do come out with some big general and the media's all covering it, I do have a little bit of distrust in it, But at the same time, that could be the catalyst that, really pushes this thing wide open.
Right. Exactly. But, my whole thing here basically is to help people, all right, that are having these kinds of experiences with contact with non-human intelligences. That's what OPUS's main focus is. And I think we've managed to do a pretty good job for over 30 years now. When we got started in 1994, we're a nonprofit, 501c3, recognized by the IRS, which always cracks me up. And And so there's a definite need. We get 2 to 3 people a week that come to us looking for some kind of assistance, and it continues.
Do you
It's
get?
not
I want to
stopping.
ask you one of the things I didn't get to tonight. We're gonna run out of time. I forgot that I really wanted to ask you too. Is people get the Hollywood perception of alien abduction. Fire in the Sky, or
Yeah, sure.
the Christopher Walken and Communion and all these scenes, and some of these come from like Fire in the Sky, which is not really like Travis Walton's experience, and Communion, which I read the book and the movie. There's definitely they did a better job than Fire in the Sky. But people get these Hollywood aspects, and yes, Gary, it was The Fourth Kind. I hate that movie. They get these Hollywood experiences, but the people you get that are coming in with these experiences, how many of them seem confused a bit? The fact, because I've had this with abductees, is that they can't tell, is this alien or is this ghost or demon? How many of these people do you get? They have it's beyond what they see in Hollywood. Like they have weird paranormal experiences in their house. Like on top of that.
Yeah, well, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed
Right.
bag. It's not one particular thing. I mean, you have the classic, taken through the ceiling or the wall, up in a beam of light, laid on a table, all kinds of things done to the person, and they're brought back, hopefully with their actual clothes, if not, somebody else's clothes. These are kind of things that people talk about. But also there's a distinct aspect to it that is beyond the classic abduction thing, where you do have poltergeist activity, demon
Right.
demon activity. I mean, um, so it's truly a mixed bag. Energy beings. In Chris Bledsoe's book, UFO of God, I mean, he encountered this female apparition, and I could see somebody looking at that female apparition and thinking it's an angel. Okay. And so you have angels, you have demons, you have poltergeists, you have ghosts, you have spiritual awakening, kundalini awakening. It's truly a mixed bag. And so, and there's aspects that they're mixed. You have a person that the number one thing that people talk about is interacting with the grays. Okay, they're the ones that
Right.
do the dirty work. Okay, but then the second thing that people talk about are orbs. This is more
I've
recently.
always been fascinated with that part of it, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and these are like floating portals of some sort.
Well,
because there's entities that actually can be seen within these things.
Right.
And then you have the interdimensionality, and then you have ghosts. Those are probably the four things that really are quite common.
During my news segment, I played a video that's been viral lately of in Mexico of a light coming down. Well, the guy says he saw the light coming down from the sky. The security cam footage, you can't see it coming down from the sky, but you get it when it gets to in front of the security camera. You see this light come down and move across, and then it forms into almost looks like two little children. And then it comes in, it moves a little more. The children disappear, and then forms into one small child, and then the child vanishes. Is that paranormal ghost thing happening, or is that an alien in a portal? Because it came from the sky. And people talk about like black-eyed kids and little, or aliens could look like this. Of course, you can almost see like the hair on this kid, like he's wearing a little like white shirt and he's got black hair. You can almost see it in the video. I've had guests on, what's her name, Chad and Alta Dillard, who wrote the book or Abducted, because they were taken in New Orleans by a big giant blue orb. And inside was like a ship, but it would outside look like a big glowing blue ball of light. And inside it was bigger, like the TARDIS and Doctor Who.
Yeah. There's that's very common, where the physical outside appearance of the ship is one thing, but then when you get inside it, it's massive. It can be massive. So it's manipulating again.
Time and space.
Yeah,
or space time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, Star Trek again. I have to make a reference. One of my favorite Star Trek episodes of Next Generation. What's his name that played Will Riker was really responsible for this because he did a lot of the kind of some of the paranormal shows like Believe It or Not or whatever. I think he's always had an interest in it. But they did an episode where crew members were not getting good sleep and they were having weird like PTSD experiences, and then they start comparing notes and they realize they've all been taken. And then they get taken by these interdimensional aliens. They're in another dimension that are taking them there, and they all kind of remember the table. It was like a total shout out to alien abduction in Star Trek Next Generation. It's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, well, these people, they're getting their information from a lot of the books that are out there now, or the abductees. I don't know if I told this story the last time I was on your show, but I was written up in a MUFON journal one time about what I do, and one of the questions they asked me, who would you like to meet in MUFON that you haven't met yet? And I said, well, I'd love to meet Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, yeah.
And so, time passed,
Another dream interview of mine.
A couple of months later or something, and I got a call from the international director of MUFON saying that would it be okay for him to give Dan Aykroyd my contact information? So anyway, I said, well, of course, no problem. So a few months passed again, didn't hear anything, and all of a sudden I'm at this greenhouse looking at some plants and things like that, and my phone rings, and it's Dan Aykroyd.
Oh my God!
And we have a 20-minute conversation.
Oh, I'd be.
And he talks about his experience seeing this object. His parents, his mother has had experiences. His father was into mediumship and wrote a book about ghosts. And
Dan Aykroyd invented a lot of what you see in Ghostbusters.
Well, exactly, and a lot of the stuff that it was in his father's book is what Ghostbusters was based on. So it was anyway. That
you know,
was,
you hear me. I play Ghostbuster clips. Like when I was a kid, I was so in love with Ghostbusters because one reason is when I was really small, me and my cousin, who's only a month younger than me, we were like 5 years old, saw a green floating head. All right, that went screaming through the room. So when I saw Slimer on Ghostbusters, I was like, see, I saw that. I saw something like that. Like, to me, it could be real. I was obsessed with Ghostbusters. I even went around, I lived in this trailer park with them. It's just me and my mom. And I went and put up these posters on these poles saying, call the Ghostbusters, and put her phone number up.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
yeah. You know, like I wanted to investigate ghosts at a very young age. Okay. I was before Ghost Hunters, the TV show. I was like, I wanted to be a Ghostbuster, you know?
Wow.
So, like, Dan Aykroyd called me on the phone, I'd probably piss myself. You know, I'd be Chris Farley in that SNL skit. You go, you remember that time? You know, that was really cool. You're like, I'd totally lose it. That's a dream interview. Talk to Dan Aykroyd. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, amigo. So that's about it.
Yeah. So everybody check out his website, opusnetwork.org, and then your book, The Unknown Other: The Existential Proposition of Alien Contact. So it's
on
an
Amazon.
honor to on Amazon. Yep, you can find it right on there. It's an honor to have you on the show. Definitely got to do it again. Thank you so much, Les.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
That's it for the show, guys. Next Sunday, we will be back. We are going to have Elizabeth Hancock on to talk about human origins, the multiverse, and our star ancestry. Pretty much a lot of stuff we're talking about tonight, in a sense. Right? Different perspectives. Right. Thank you, Les. But that's it for the show, guys. See you next Sunday.
We'll see you.
Tell your friends about Paranormal Soup. You can watch the Paranormal happen live every Sunday night, 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. Thank you to everybody who shares out the show. Keep telling your friends about Paranormal Soup. And thank you to our Patreons, $2 a month, $1 a month, whatever you can feel it can help donate to the show. You can find the links in the show description if you want to donate. And you can also donate on Super Chat on YouTube. Helps pay for the bills for the show. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Have a great night.